Greetings from beautiful Charlottesville, Virginia. Welcome to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stiefel, and actually, I'm going to be honest with you, Charlottesville, Virginia is very beautiful. The Super 8 motel room I'm in right now is not exactly beautiful, but the rest of the city has been magnificent so far from what I've seen. I will be in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Stanton, Virginia, and Roanoke, Virginia all this week, which, by the way, I am recording this part on Monday, October 2nd, 2017. Now, you all know, I'm sure, the horrific tragedy that went on in Las Vegas late last night or early this morning. I'm not going to say much about it. I'm kind of speechless mentally about it, but other than I'm not going to say much other than this. On this day, whenever you're listening to this, be nice to somebody, smile, hold the door, text a loved one or an old friend, let them know how much they mean to you. Just don't let the bad in this world keep you from being a part of the good. That's the easiest way to say how I feel about all this. And anyway, onward we go. I do want to let you know this podcast for the time being is listener funded. That means that it's done by you beautiful people going over to patreon.com/DSM podcast and signing up for behind the scenes access to what goes on here when the mics aren't on. For as little as $1 a month, you can help keep this going and see exclusive pictures and video, as well as download MP3 files from the episodes, me jamming with the guests, and much more. Your name could be added to an online supporters page on the website. There's an option to have a guest and myself write a custom song just for you and record it and send it to you. You could come in, listen to an episode, watch as we record an episode, all kinds of stuff. And actually, if you have any good ideas of some cool perks that I could add in there that you would like to do and you would, pledge some money monthly for, shoot me a message, an email at jacob@don'tstifleme.com or any of the social medias and let me know, and I'll see what I can do. I do know the guy in charge over here. Anyway, also, if you're an Amazon shopper, next time you're going to order something on Amazon, if you think to, you could jump over to don'tstifleme.com or jacobstiefel.com and click the banner that says, click here to shop on Amazon.com. It's a big banner. You can't miss it. Right there on the homepage. Anyway, and that will take you to Amazon and the Amazon homepage. The prices won't be any different for you. It's the exact same on your end, but they'll send a small commission to the podcast for sending you their way. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, episode 31.
Pick it up again.
Okay, I want to make this very clear. This is my warning to any of you fine people who might be easily offended by language or a variety of risque conversation topics, because what this episode is, it's a little different than the others that you've heard here on Don't Stifle Me. This episode is my good friends Matt Mackey, Mark Cardwell, Chance Gray, and myself enjoying some conversations on music, sex, religion, travel, drugs, and I'm sure some other things that I'm forgetting, because there were also some adult beverages being consumed, and it's just us just sitting down and talking for a little while. Now, if you listen and you get offended, that's not our intention. My intention in having these conversations and in releasing these conversations is to open lines of communication. We need to be able to talk about things, talk about life and what's going on, and not make things taboo and hide them away in closets and cabinets to never be discussed. We should, talk about it, talk about what's going on. Now, I'm sure not saying that I have all or any of the answers of life, my opinions now will probably be different in a year, maybe different in a week from now. But I believe that we all grow and learn and figure out things about ourselves and about life and the world through deep thought and deep conversations. So, ladies and gentlemen, in the spirit of growing and learning and having some fun along the way, here is my talk with the great Chance Gray, Mark Cardwell, and Matt Mackey. right, so we're going now. This is it. We're recording now at 7:55 is what that thing says.
It's 9:40.
Well, it's not that. That's not the time. It's the time. Anyway. All right. Getting started already.
Oh, man.
Here we go. Chance Gray over here. How you doing?
I'm doing very good right now.
Yeah. Mark Cardwell.
Doing great, man. How are you?
If I was any better, I wouldn't know what to do. And the guy that the people in Fort Payne refer to as that guy who smokes cigarettes all the time, Matt Mackey.
I think we should be more clear when you say the people in Fort Payne, and we should narrow it down to who it really is, which is your grandmother, who firmly believes I smoke too many cigarettes.
Oh, that's great.
And she's not totally wrong.
Well, you know, it's a relative.
But this is not the word on the street in Fort Payne. This is strictly your grandmother that feels like I smoke too many cigarettes.
Actually, somebody asked my dad where I found Joe Cocker's nephew.
Sweet, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I would like to know why I didn't make it to the Joe Cocker's son status. Yeah, why am I just the nephew? Am I not good enough to be the son?
Because your name maybe.
No, I call bullshit on that. I think they're just saying like he's almost good enough, like not quite a son, maybe a nephew.
You don't want to go full Joe Cocker. You never go full Joe
Well,
Cocker.
I mean, somebody has to. That's the way I see it.
I've seen him go full Joe Cocker a couple of times.
Yeah, and then you wake up and it's Tuesday and you're like, oh my God.
Last I knew it was Friday night, 9 p.m. I did have somebody ask on Facebook the other day that said, when are you going to give the people what they want and do a podcast with Matt Mackey?
Oh my God.
Somebody said that. Yeah.
Wow.
So here you go, Derek. This is for you, brother.
I was about to say, was that also your grandmother? I wanted to know if that was...
Granny got on Facebook for one reason and one reason only.
Look, she got after me the other night when we played in Fort Payne, and it was I thought I was doing a solid, like, hey, hometown people, let's give it up for Jacob Stiefel, hometown son. His mom and daddy are here. Let's give it up for them. And everybody was cheering. Everything was cool. And then in the distance, I hear, don't forget his granny. I was like, I'm so sorry. I forgot that he was sitting over there. I feel terrible.
Oh my goodness.
She was not going to let it go. Oh, and by the way, that voice was Granny. That was not just like a stranger in the crowd. She wanted to be acknowledged. She wanted some joy.
Chance,
She
breaking
loves
stuff?
being here. Chance is already throwing things down.
God.
It just stuck to the bottom.
Yeah.
I've heard that so many times.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, ladies and
You
gentlemen.
like my Johnny Hayes T-shirt over here?
Yeah.
You ever heard of that? You ever heard of that guy?
You got to get one of the new ones. We got one that say with the love seats on there.
Now they
Mackie
say,
and I are on the new
I
ones.
don't care about the love seats. Nobody cares about the love
Nobody
seats.
cares about that's a fact.
Oh man, we were
What
playing.
I want is the Johnny Hayes and Magic Sex T-shirt.
Ooh, those are
Well, look,
those are rare.
So those are my favorite gigs when it was just me and Johnny playing as a duo, as Johnny and the Magic Sex.
So you were the Magic
I was like,
Sex.
hey everybody, we're Johnny Hayes and the Magic Sex, and that's Johnny Hayes. And I would just let it hang in the air over the gig. And the chicks that laugh are the ones that got it, and those are the ones you talk to. The people that didn't laugh are the people you know you're never going to be friends with.
There you go. There you go. That's a good judge. I feel like you're a good judge of who you should go talk to and narrow down and talk to.
Well, yeah, you just look for the people that are giving you the sex size. You know, male, female, it doesn't matter. Age, gender, all of that's irrelevant. The people that are giving you the I want to fuck you eyes are the people you just go see what they're up to, see what their story is, see what they do Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
That's the best advice.
Solid.
Chance is actually only here to take notes.
Yeah, I just wrote that down.
For life. Here.
It also applies on
I'm looking at all
farms, but
y'all
you gotta
right
be
now.
really wide open for that one.
Who's giving me? Chance don't be looking at me for the sex eyes. It's not going to happen.
I'm scanning the room.
Look, I'm not saying you got to get inside everyone that gives you the sex eyes. I'm just saying, when you see them, identify and explore your options is all I'm saying.
If Granny was listening, she's not now.
Yeah,
She
and
turned
we've all
it
made
off.
mistakes. Everyone has thought those are sex eyes, and they are not, in fact, sex eyes. And you gotta walk that path also and see where that leads.
Yeah, you got to talk to him and then get to that point and you're like, ooh, this is not going over well.
100%. It's very disappointing when that happens. It's like, I thought you were giving me the I want to talk to you eyes, and you were giving me the like get the fuck away from me eyes. It's very disheartening.
There's that fine line there between.
But so many fish in the sea, so you just keep on swimming. Jesus Christ, get this guy another coaster. We have to get him a different coaster.
What do you got to do? I know what we got to do here.
Yeah.
There we go. We'll fix that right.
Here we go. Baby proof the coaster for Chance.
So,
Get you another
Cardwell,
one.
how you doing over there?
I'm doing great, man.
Is everybody happy? Everybody happy to be here? I'm happy to be here.
I'm a lot happier than I was an hour ago.
Yeah, me too. How about that?
Man, what happened before an hour ago?
Speaking of which, I would like to thank our sponsor for this podcast, Mr. Ben Ratliff.
Oh,
Thank you,
yeah.
Ben.
Yeah, Ben. Thanks, bud.
We're
doing great.
None of this would be possible without you.
This next 40 to 300 minutes is brought to you by Ben Ratliff. Thank you, sir.
To be fair, he did not know that this was going to be brought to you by him, but now he knows, and I guarantee he's excited wherever he is.
There you go. He'll share it.
He will.
Oh, yeah.
Share it with the people.
And if he doesn't, we will share it with him on his behalf.
I am drinking some Bell Mead whiskey, distilled right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
It's a good stuff.
I myself am focused on Nashville's finest PBR.
Oh, my God.
Not a lot of people know it's based here in Nashville.
Straight from the gas. What gas station did you get that?
And that's a great question.
The Mapco?
I'm going to go with the Mapco. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Mapco. That seems like that's probably where this came from.
That Mapco on Harding Place, it's new. It's real nice.
Check that out.
That's a little inside baseball for all you Nashville people right there.
Yeah.
Real nice. Harding Place in 65, real nice. They got chicken fingers, PBR.
They got the Slim Jims in there?
Yeah, but they only got 2 gas pumps. Don't go in there needing gas, though.
Did y'all play somewhere last weekend?
We did
Last weekend.
You weren't there. We did a.
We played the festival.
Last weekend I played
weekend.
with you.
Oh yeah. I thought you meant, yeah, right. What?
What a tangled
That
web.
was what we were talking about. But this
Always.
weekend, whatever.
We did a little foursome gig with me and Jonathan Stevens and Johnny and Sharp. We
Nice.
we did a little. I think it was a benefit down in Athens, Alabama. The Lamont Landers band opened up for us. That dude can sing, man.
Yeah?
Oh, dude, yeah.
That name sounds familiar. I don't know
He's
if
from. I think he's from Huntsville or he's around Tuscaloosa, but he's a little white kid. He's a kid. He's like 6 years younger than me. Not really a kid, but he can sing like a man. He's been like,
He
there's
can
videos.
sing like a man.
No, there's videos of him online.
Not like a woman.
What does that mean?
Like a man.
There's videos of him online at like 13 singing "It Makes No Difference" by the band, and Johnny texted me. He was like, "Is this a joke?" I was
Wow.
like, "No, it's not a joke. He's that good."
Yeah.
Yeah.
When's this Loveseats CD going to come out already? Come on now.
I think we've got the
October
release.
6th.
Well, the Alabama release will be
that's right.
in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Week and a half.
This next
yeah,
week?
October 6th is going to
Yeah.
be the first release show we'll do down in Mobile.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe we'll do other releases.
This
in other
might or might not come out that week.
Yeah, well,
depending
look,
on how it goes.
just so you know, whether it does or it doesn't, I love you just the same.
Awesome.
I thought you'd appreciate it.
Aw. You guys.
You got.
I will say the place that we're doing this gig in Mobile, last time we played there, there's a window right behind the stage, and I just curled up in a ball in the windowsill and was like laying out on these people on a table.
I saw the picture of that. Yeah.
I felt like a bird. I don't know what, maybe an owl or a pigeon. Well, who hangs out in windows? Pigeons?
Oh my gosh.
Pigeons are just sky rats, so maybe not pigeons.
You got into that with no forethought, didn't you?
Hummingbirds?
Yeah.
Crows? What?
Yeah, I
do
often
hang
start
out all
sentences
night.
without having an ending.
Blue
so-
Jays. Blue Jay. I'm going to call you a Blue Jay.
Yeah,
Smells like a tour bus in here.
right.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Smells like, I know what it smells like. Smells like that hotel room in Phillips, Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
We were hanging out, and Matt and Mark here got a phone call from the front desk.
This is at like 2 in the afternoon.
Two
Like,
nights,
this-
yeah.
They're like, it smells like someone,
Smoky things.
smoky things, and we were like, oh, that's not us, but we'll take care of it. And the lady literally on the next night, she goes, "You're the only ones in the hotel."
Yeah.
And I was like,
there was
okay,
nobody
thanks.
else staying.
That's
Okay,
crazy.
thanks, bye.
We
Then
went
hung up.
downstairs like 20 minutes later to have a cigarette or something out in the parking lot, and it's like our van and no other vehicles in the entire hotel parking lot. I was like, oh.
Yeah, she didn't believe
They were
us.
nice, though.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, to her credit, she knew that it was us, and she let it slide anyway.
Yeah.
We were like, we don't know who it is, but we'll find it. We'll take care of it. Don't
Yeah.
you worry, darling. We got you. We'll make sure whoever's
go on
up
the
to this
search, make sure.
mischief.
We looked at
Yeah,
Ian. We were
that's
like, Ian, you got in trouble. Your dreadlocks got us in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, look, dreadlocks are trouble no matter how you slice it. You're always
Right.
going to have a run-in with Johnny Law if you got dreadlocks in
Yeah.
tow.
You stick out.
That's why I let my hair just grow like Jesus, like the Christ, so people really support me everywhere I go.
Mackey's Arab Jesus, and I'm white Jesus. That's how
I prefer to think of myself as rock and roll Jesus.
rock and roll
There you go.
Jesus.
Race is not a factor.
Racist.
What?
Jewish, maybe.
How old are you, Mackey?
34 years old.
34.
Just over. So I've actually.
You made it past the Jesus.
So my dad is a minister.
Past Jesus.
My dad's a preacher. Look, no, you're exactly right. My family's all very Christian, and my dad's a preacher. And I called him up when I turned 34. I guess they called me or whatever. And I was like, Dad, look. And my mom's on the phone. They're speakering it up, right? Because they got to do the parent thing. I was like, I outlived the Christ. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, you know.
The Christ.
They put the cap on old Jesus at 33. I'm 34. I outlived him. I outdid him, didn't I?
How about that?
And they were like, well, Matthew.
Smoked significantly more cigarettes.
He made a decision. And I was like, yeah, but I'm just saying, I outdid the guy though, right?
That's great.
Yeah, they found it so much less funny than I did. They were way less.
From here on out, it's overachieving.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
man,
all the rest
Sorry.
of my days. I'm just going to tell them, look, I've already done more than Jesus, so what are you guys going to do?
So did you grow up with your dad always being a preacher?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he was a preacher since he was like 19, I guess. So,
Wow. So he's still preaching?
yeah, that's what he does. Him and my brother and my granddad, they're all preachers in my family.
How about that?
And look, I'm a preacher.
Yeah,
Some
I-
sort.
sure.
Yeah.
I preach the gospel of rock, man.
love.
I'm an evangelizer of the good soul. That's
There
the way
you
I
go.
see it.
I gotcha. And I actually did see you on the cover of that Christian rock CD that you were showing off there.
man,
So
that was good.
that was fantastic.
Look, man,
is what
I
that
cut
was.
all my musical teeth in churches, singing
Yeah.
in churches, playing in churches. That's how I got comfortable standing up in front of people.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, it's easier. People are way more on your team when your dad's a preacher because they don't want to go to hell, right? So they're like, you did great. You did great. That was amazing. So good. Please don't let your dad send me to hell. You're so good. You're such a talented little boy.
So that's what your dad does, really? Is sends people to hell?
Well, if he wants to. That's the juice you get. Yeah, when you sign the preacher card, you get
Yeah,
you
you
that
get that
juice.
power.
I
I
think
didn't
you
know
get
that.
it's like a limited number. Like he gets 10, I think.
10 a year?
10 total people. He
Total.
gets to send straight to hell.
He's got to narrow that down.
Man.
But he has to send 100 people to heaven, so it's a tough quota. It's tough. He's got a lot of work out there.
Is there any tax implications for the hell people?
Yeah, no,
or-
8.5%. That's the tax he has to deal with. It's tough.
What about the heaven people? Is it
Oh,
more?
12.5%. Yeah, it's harder to get people into heaven than into hell. It turns out.
I'm already lost.
Yeah, right.
The percentages.
We have a song on the Loveseats record about getting into heaven. It's called
Yeah?
Rock and Roll and Sin. Yeah.
It's a great song that Johnny wrote.
It's not about sex, is it?
No, but it is about trying to get into heaven, and St. Pete's like, no, man, you can't get in. And then so he sends you to hell, and you get to hell, and you find out there's no women and there's no booze, and you're like, can't do this. This is obviously terrible. So you go back to heaven, like, come on, man, what can you do? And he's like, what do you got there under your hat? And it turns out you got a joint that you forgot about in your hat. And St.
So you
Pete
give that to St. Pete,
takes
huh?
your joint, and he's like, oh, you know what? I do see you right here on the list. Let me slide you on into heaven.
How about that?
That's awesome.
That's a great synopsis.
That's a good
of the
rock
tune,
and roll,
right?
I like that. Yeah.
It makes my heart
I'm
really
excited.
happy. It's much more catchy as a song than as a story, I'll tell you.
So you were telling me about one time your dad, who's been preaching since he was 19. You took him to a movie. What movie was it? The military movie or the
Yeah, so my dad, our family, a very conservative family, so rated R movies, among many other things, are completely taboo, right? So, PG-13 is the max, risque would get in
Yeah.
our house. And this is way after I was born.
maybe
I
a
was-
bare ass on the screen, but that's it.
Yeah, and like for like a split second,
Yeah.
you got to look away. No big deal. Just, Jesus wouldn't be hip to that.
Yeah.
I got him. I was well into my 20s, and Zero Dark 30, the movie about when they got
That's
Bin
right.
Laden.
Yeah.
I was like, my dad's he's a patriotic human, and this movie's he loves military movies, and there's not any super graphic sex scenes or a bunch of drugs. It's just dudes being military dudes taking out Bin Laden. Come on, like Jesus has to be on board with this, right? And I
Right.
forget because I use a shit ton of fucking profanity in my life.
Yeah.
That this movie has, profanity in it. It's not
Marines
It's
and
not like
military
Tarantino.
guys,
yeah, it's not Tarantino level where it's all the time, but it's in. So I get him to watch this movie. It's a huge deal. It's a rated R movie, right? And they're like, fuck this and fuck that a handful of times. And these are it's depicting military personnel. This is not some crazy thing. And the movie ends, and he looks at me. He's like, Matt, I just have a hard time believing people really talk that way in real life. And I was like, oh man, Dad, look, man, look. I gotta let you in on a secret. No one's ever told you this. I'm gonna be the one to tell you. You're a minister. So nobody talks that way around you. Everywhere you've gone, all of your adult life, you're like, hi, I'm Bob. What do you do? Oh, I'm a preacher. And people are like, gosh darn it, preacher.
Crap.
That sounds like, something pretty persnickety over there. And he's like, I just don't know if people talk like that, man. I was like, Dad, I'm fucking positive people talk like that.
You were telling me that one time. You were like, I told him, I said, Dad, everybody talks.
Everybody.
Like
I was like, I've had real jobs, Dad. Corporate people, rich people, poor people, bougie people, like terrible people, all the time. That's how people talk, Dad. I'm telling you, this is not
like super duper vulgar or anything.
Yeah.
But you stub your toe, you say shit.
Yeah,
like
if he and I had watched Pulp Fiction, I'd be like, "You're right, Dad. Most people really don't talk like that." That's
funny story.
Actually, I've been thinking about that the whole time. We were on the road in Texas, and we're staying with Jacob's grandma.
Oh no!
And, who is now 89 years old.
She's 89 years young. Hello, Grandma, if you're listening to this.
See, good for you, Cardwell. 89 years young.
We're sitting there, and we were like, Jacob, let's watch a movie. And he's like, yeah. And the first movie we picked was like a stand-up comedy thing, and he was like, man, I don't think we should watch that with Grandma. And we're like, what about, he's like, let's watch The Big Lebowski. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'll be fine. That is not
because I'll suck
fine.
your cock for $1,000.
Yes. When I remember the moment that he said that, because I looked at Jacob's grandma, just had this look, and I could not stop laughing. I was holding it in. She watched the whole thing. She fell asleep a little bit. There was one point, though, I was really proud of her. It was a really dirty moment. And she it was like, I think it might have been the I'll suck your cock for $1,000. And she just goes, just kind of chuckles and like took it like a champ. And at the end, she went to bed. And the next day when we were leaving, Jacob got in the van and was like, Grandma looked at me and was like, had a great time with you guys. Cause we went to the bar with Grandma. We went and got drunk with Grandma. It was great.
She's awesome.
Goes, didn't care for that movie though.
She said something about the language. And to be in my defense, I'd been hanging out with y'all for 2 or 3 weeks. I didn't realize
you do.
Yeah.
You develop profanity blindness.
Yeah.
You forget that this is not how just
and
people
like
talk all the time.
A minute and a half into the movie, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Cause every other word in that movie is fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Every other word.
It's a significant word in the vocabulary.
Look, I've been thinking about this a lot. My little boy, he's in 3rd grade now. And I was in 2nd grade when I started using profanity on a very liberal basis. And I keep waiting for him to just look at me and be like, hey, you know what? Fuck you, Dad. From the world of 3rd grade. And he just does it. And he'll watch like a YouTube video and they'll swear. And he's like, oh, Dad, they said a swear word. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that's pretty bad, son. I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, fuck that. Definitely don't use those fucking swear words, man. I don't want to tell him to do it, but I don't know how to tell a 3rd grader, like, I don't give a shit if you do it or not. Just don't do it in front of your mom. Don't do it in front of your grandparents, but I don't give a shit. You can do whatever you want.
I don't know. I remember I remember exactly where I was standing in elementary school in 1st grade. Might have been third. No, it was 1st grade. I remember standing there and talking to my friend at the time about, I don't get why we can say booty, but we can't say butt or ass.
It's all arbitrary.
It's letters.
It's absolutely arbitrary, man.
It's intention. When you stub your toe and you say, "Dadgummit," you're saying, "God damn it." Like, that's what you're saying. It's
all context, man. People just get their panties in a twist about certain words because they haven't heard them enough. That's what I think. They just need to hear them more often. Look, we don't use the word cunt often enough here in America.
There we go.
And I'm saying if we upped the usage, people would not think it was so abrasive anymore.
Well, yeah. If you just gotta, I don't know.
There are countries in this world where you look across the bar and like, don't be such a cunt. And people just go, and they hold their beer up. And in this country, you look across the bar, like, that you're being kind of a cunt.
You said a C word.
They want to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
It's just a word. It's just a stupid word.
Yeah. You could say you're being kind of a mean head.
Yeah. And
Who
essentially, you're saying the exact same thing. But all of a sudden, if you said it with this one word, then it's a big deal. We got to fight about it. But
Chance, you don't say mean head, do you? You don't say mean head.
Well, that's 2 syllables.
I've never
that's
said that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a mean head. That's a lot. Is that too aggressive for you?
It's pretty aggressive.
I'm pretty sure 6th grade.
I mean, you got to have it's about vocabulary, and you have to have different levels of that to explain your severity of it. And I get that. So drawing lines, leading from no offense up to extreme offense. I guess you have to have tears, but I don't know.
But they're just words, right? Like, I feel like if you're talking about actions that people are doing, like if you do something that affects another person, that's fine. I smoke cigarettes all the time. Mm-hmm. I get very upset when people tell me to put my cigarette out. I want to tell those people to go fuck themselves. Yeah. But I also recognize if I'm sitting somewhere outside a bar, wherever I'm smoking a cigarette, like that smoke doesn't just go to me. That's all around me. That's affecting the people around me. So I have to take that shit into consideration. But if somebody's just like, oh man, fuck that. Like, that's just a word. That's not hurting anybody. It's not making anybody less healthy. It's not breaking anybody's heart. It's not making anybody lose their job. It's just a word. It doesn't seem worth getting upset about. Yeah. There's so much shit that's terrible. That
There's so many more awful things.
Right?
There's people right now that are starving to death and don't have food. Yeah. And living in the streets
There's
somewhere.
14-year-olds right there, right now in the world that do not know how to finger fuck. And it's,
oh my
how
God.
are they going to learn if they're worried about what kind of language they use?
Right?
14.
Amen.
Yeah, I think it's important.
I'm pretty sure like 6th grade was when I started cussing, and it was because I was not growing. I was short, and I was just angry, and like every other word I said was cuss words. Every other word I was saying was a cuss word, and I remember because it was like I was the dirtiest. Like everything was a cuss word, and then as I got older, I was like, oh, you can't. Like I didn't do that as much. It was definitely like I think it was a puberty thing. I was pissed off. I wasn't growing. I had a bowl cut because I was an idiot. I don't know why.
Mommy, I like that bowl cut. Let me get that bowl cut.
No one's ever said
go
those
Vols.
words. Not ever.
Yeah,
go,
right?
Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Yeah, go Vols. No, my mom did have me in a mullet until I was old enough to go, we're cutting that shit off.
Yeah.
She was going, it's cute.
I had a little bit of a mullet back in the
It's
day.
not cute. Billy Ray Cyrus.
It was cute on me.
Right? Maybe.
Chance, you're being awful quiet over there. You got any good jokes? Any good jokes for the people?
I don't have any jokes.
How's the road been? Chance has been out with Jason Isbell in the 400 unit.
Yeah, the road has been long but good.
Yeah.
And we leave again Thursday night.
Are y'all on 2 buses right now? Or are you just doing the one?
Yeah, 2 buses.
2 buses?
Right now. Yeah.
Ow. Man, Chance, take that back. Ooh, buddy.
Ooh, Cardwell.
That killed Elvis.
Did you bring it in too deep there?
It looks like he drug too deep on the incense. Got a little too much incense.
Too much
in the old
incense.
lungs.
Yeah.
We call that the bell ringer.
The bell ringer.
Is that what they call it?
The bell ringer.
Chance, I told Chance to be careful when he got started on this. He'd end up in the fetal position.
There's few things more comfortable than the fetal position. Don't knock the fetal position.
very comfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
No good for
Cardwell
fucking,
was
but
talking
great for
earlier
sleeping.
about being in a position with a toilet in college or something.
Oh, dude, yeah, I almost died.
Yeah.
I told my mom the story once. She was mortified. I just got too drunk. Took like 12, 15 shots in like 20 minutes trying to play catch up. You know? They found me in the bathroom, like butt naked, with my legs around the toilet, and my lips were turning blue. And like, the really fucked up thing was, I was like pledging a fraternity and shit, and they were supposed to take care of me. And I got
You were in a fraternity?
It was a music fraternity, but you know, it wasn't cool. I mean, it was
This is
cool.
why we said I was pledging a fraternity.
Yeah, right. It was cool.
I was trying to get in the fraternity.
No, I got in, but I was definitely a troublemaker. I got too drunk, you know. I don't know. It was weird.
Toilets can be a fickle mistress.
Did you finish college?
I went for 4 years and realized that I wasn't going to play like marimba. And
Seems like a yes or no question.
no. I checked.
So what you're
out.
saying is,
Yeah, no. I got a gig and I was playing drum set, and I was like, "Hey man, I don't think I'm going to play these like marimbas forever.
Yeah.
Can I play drum set?" And he goes, "No," and I went, "Well, I got a job, so I'm out." And then just out.
I was at my buddy Paul's house this weekend, and he's got a son that's I don't know how old Spencer is, like
26.
He's 13 because he's about to be 14.
So I was halfway.
Almost, yeah. But anyway, he was talking about school versus music, and his parents were giving him shit about not trying hard in school and about like looking ahead at college, and I have a degree. So they looked at me and they were like, "Jacob, tell Spencer that it's important to have your degree." And I told her, I said, "You don't want me to get in this conversation,
Yeah,
Right?
You're like, yeah, man, my degree's been super useful in the last like 5 years.
Yeah, right. Well, what fucked me up was like I was going, and the first 2 years, all I did was music stuff, and I loved it. I was playing steel drums and doing crazy stuff. But then when they made me go to geography class and stuff, I was like, "Well, wait a minute, was I not?" When I graduated high school, you said I was sufficient enough to exist in the world with this. Yeah. And now I just want to go to school to specialize in this. Why in the fuck am I in geography class?
Yeah.
I already I know enough. And being that age and not old
I
enough
know how
be-
to get
yeah.
from Murfreesboro to Knoxville.
Right, yeah.
What else do I need to know?
I'm good. But it didn't work.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it just, I was too, like, that thought process was
See,
great, but I should have finished. You know, looking back on it, I was that close.
Well, what I would have said, and what I think I ended up telling my buddy's son, is that
Who's 13?
who's 13?
Okay.
Yeah. is that
He can't finger fuck. He hasn't learned yet. He's not 14. By the way,
I don't
just
know.
throwing
I
that
have
out.
a
Don't
feeling
make it
that-
personal, bro.
Don't make it personal.
No, what I told him was that, like, I think if you know what you want to do, and the college degree is going to be important in pursuing that, then you should absolutely go to college.
Yeah.
But if you don't know yet what you want to do with your life, I don't think you should just blindly go to college because you think you're supposed to go to college.
I agree, brother.
Yeah.
I agree.
I gave a Lyft ride. I drive, for Lyft part time, and I gave
Little
a Lyft
plug.
ride.
We're looking for some dollars on that one right there, Lyft. Just
there you
go
go.
ahead and throw some money into the coffers, Lyft. You're welcome.
That's right, Lyft.
Stiefel needs new tires.
But so I was giving a ride, and this kid, I don't know how old he was, but he was saying when he graduated high school, his mom told him, "Son, if you want to go to college, if you know what you want to do, I'll help you pay for college. But if you don't know what you want to do yet, instead of paying $10,000 for you to go to college, I'll put $3,000 toward you traveling for a year and
Hell yeah.
learning about the world and
Oh,
learning
wow.
about yourself." I was like, I hope I remember that and hope I have the balls to do that for
Right.
my children, like when I get to that point.
Well,
because
just let them know, right? I feel like all of us here, we're all relatively close to the same age. We all were born in the 80s somewhere.
Mhm.
You know, in the era of like,
Unfortunately.
your kids go to college. Like, that's what you do. We all came up all through the 90s and the early aughts. Like, you go to college, right?
that's what you're
people
told.
do.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's taken up until the last 5 years for people to be like, hey, we've been sending motherfuckers to college steady for 30, 40 years now.
Yeah.
And it turns out we don't have a great workforce to show for it.
Still not
Maybe
getting
there's
jobs.
other
Yeah.
things people could be doing with themselves than going
Yeah.
to college and getting jobs. Half of them are getting jobs they could have gotten without a degree.
Yeah.
You know,
Like I
half of them
learned-
are making less money than they would make if they took up a trade. All of us are musicians, so we can talk shit all we want. None of us need any schooling for what we're doing
Right.
except to just love it.
No, man, when
Right.
Jacob hired me, we just hung out at Soulshine and had an adult beverage. He's like, "You don't suck, do you?" I was like, "Nah, man, I don't think so." He's
don't
like, "Cool,
suck,
we're going
do
to go
you?"
play some shows."
That's
I
so
said
weird.
I
That
said
was it.
something about Womerns, and you said I knew as soon as you said Womerns that I
Womerns.
like playing. For
Jacob
you.
made me do so many algebra problems before he let me play in
That's
his
not
band.
true.
He was like, "I need to know your mathematical background. Where are you at with geography?" It was like an SAT just to
What's
get
your
into this
grasp
guy's
on
band.
calculus? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was deep. It was big time.
No, but like I learned I learned a lot, a shit ton in school, but it doesn't even compare to what I've learned about the world and about myself in the last 7 years.
And I feel like the bulk of what I remember from college is
Yeah.
things I learned from being that age and living my life.
Yeah, having to
Not
pay
necessarily
bills.
things that I
Yeah.
learned in a college class somewhere.
Yeah. You have to learn like, okay, these bills are due on this day, or even like kind of having to do with school, but learning, okay, this test is on this day.
Responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility. Yeah.
Something.
These,
You just get
this
thrown-
project is due or whatever.
Hey,
I need
look,
to-
I'm gonna get crazy here. I'm gonna throw out something that I have long. So I don't know how much you guys are familiar with the way the government works in Israel, but in Israel, as soon as you graduate high school, everybody, male and female, you got to do 2 years of military service.
Yeah.
Before you go do anything else.
That's how it
just
is
what
in,
everybody
in
does.
Singapore. I'm pretty sure it's the
I'm not
same
a
way.
big believer in the draft in this country. I'm hip to the voluntary military that we have. I'm on board with all of it. But if every 18-year-old in this country, male, female, rich and poor, had to do even 1 year, let alone 2 years of military service, and let's bear in mind that with that many people, this is a huge country,
Yeah.
so with that many people, not everybody would have to go into any sort of military role. You wouldn't have to be fighting, you know what I mean, firing a gun or anything like that. If
Right.
every single 18-year-old has
Did
to do
something.
it, there's lots
Cooked
of
or whatever,
non-military roles. Engineer. If everybody had to do 1, maybe 2 years, the level of discipline and responsibility it would instill in the society. If colleges were filled with people that were 20 who had done a year or two in the military before they went to college, I feel like it would
Yeah.
change the game entirely.
Because it's not about the military, but it's about
Learning to be
Living for-
responsible,
yeah,
learning
living
to
for 2 or
live,
3
learning to be an
years.
adult, learning to handle your shit.
exactly. Yeah.
You know what I learned in college?
and meeting other people. Sorry, and meeting other people that
who are different than
from
you.
yeah, or from different from you, have different beliefs than you have.
That was the biggest thing I learned.
Yeah. So what were you
was
gonna say?
dealing with different people.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you go, I mean, most people, I moved around some when I was a kid, and some people do, but most people don't.
Yeah.
Most people don't move around a lot when they're kids, so wherever they're from, like going to college for an awful lot of people in this country is the first time they're around people that are not from where they're from. And if that's your first opportunity to learn, like, oh, so you don't believe what I believe, or you don't think what I think, you don't sound the way I sound. But like, turns out you're actually still a pretty delightful human also. This is cool.
Yeah, how about that?
Like,
You're not saying exactly what everybody in my hometown says. What are you talking about? What is this? You know, what is this belief that you have?
Well, Chance, I mean, you tell me, you brought it up. Like at 18, I mean, what's that like when you're like, oh shit, this is a whole other ballgame than I was used to. When you're that young,
it was a culture shock for sure.
It
And then,
is,
like I worked in the campus bookstore, and I was just immediately went to work with all these different kinds of people, and I had to get along with them. I had to learn, that I can't just be like, well, that's stupid. And then,
that's it.
And most of these people had valid points. Like, I would spend time trying to learn and be like, so you think this, why? Or tell me about your background or whatever, because I only knew of my own.
I will say I think that's a big part of that experience, because what we're talking about is people that are 18, 19, 20 years old, and your belief system, your core of who you are is still pliable.
Yeah.
You haven't lived long enough to, like, when you hear someone who disagrees with you and you're just like, well, fuck that, that's wrong. At 19, somebody who talks about stuff that you've never thought about or believed or that you think is totally wrong, but when you're young, you're still, like, cool with, interesting. I never really thought about it that way before, man. That's a pretty cool way of looking at that. I'm gonna apply that to my own. You're not rigid yet in your belief system. You can expand.
Honestly, I'll be honest. I was already pretty rigid by that point, and I was even kind of somewhat rigid on some of that when I moved up here. And it was what it took for me was, let's see, in 2012 I was 24 or 25. When I first started playing on the road. I think that's really when it hit. Because even when I was playing downtown, I was still with the same people, whatever, all the time. But when I started going on the road and having different musicians, especially like for a while, it was like a different drummer, a different bass player, a different guitar player. And I met all these different people from different places, and you'd have to ride in a van with them for hours and hours. And you start talking about how they were raised, the churches that they went to, or why they
never went to church, right?
Yeah.
Well, like people that are very religious, people that think religion is stupid, people that take loads of drugs, people that like would never take drugs,
everything.
Like all these different people, and they're all living a life pretty close to yours, even though they have all these varying beliefs.
Yeah,
it's a big deal,
you start
man.
hearing these things, and you start thinking, well, okay. Maybe I don't need to be quite as judgmental on somebody that thinks differently than I was always taught.
I remember
go ahead.
I remember the first time we went to Texas. We were listening to like Jim Jeffries, and it got to a certain point where you're like, man, turn that off. And I was like, what's up? And you're like, I just don't want to listen to that anymore. It's aggravating me. And like fast forward 3 years, you're like, man, Cardwell, have you ever heard of Jim Jeffries? I was like, what the fuck, man? Are you serious? You're like, he's hilarious.
I'll be the first one to admit that I was, and I don't like to use
you would
the
let
words,
me smoke
but
weed in the van all I wanted
somewhat closed-minded. I wasn't necessarily closed-minded, but I didn't want to.
I
didn't want to listen to beliefs other than what I
you had a narrower viewpoint than you were.
You were like, hey, you guys can get high all you want, but man, that comedian, he was. I think it was like it was just a little. The problem with Jim Jeffries is that he'll walk you right up with a little bit of truth before he hits you with comedy, and it's a little bit too much because he's
specifically. If anybody's listening to this, if you've ever listened to Jim Jeffries, an Australian comic, and for our people, we think he's incredibly hilarious. Yeah. But he's like aggressively atheist.
Yeah.
Like, goes out of his way to shit on religious people, which is funny.
He makes
that
good
kind of
points.
Thing, but like
he makes good points.
If you have even a tiny like tinge of religious belief inside you, the dude's gonna rub you the wrong way, and not in a comedic way.
Yeah, and I remember feeling the way I felt at that time. I was like, even if this guy's talking about me that way, whatever. But when he was like shitting on people that believe religiously, whatever, I was taking that as he's shitting on people that I'm close to and people that I love and my
Good
family.
people,
and
people, you know, Nana that you knew at the church, you always
Right.
made cupcakes and took care of everybody.
Yeah.
She was a great woman, and why is he shitting on her
Yeah.
right now?
Well, like
Just 'cause
his
she was a Christian.
like his last special,
Yeah.
he did it at the Ryman, and the first thing he came out and said was like, "Man, these are jokes, people." Like I get, like he is atheist, but he's not as aggressive like in his own person, but his
Yeah.
his comedic style is that
Yeah, it's
way,
exact.
and
Well,
it's
also-
jokes. You got to be able to take that.
Well, and also, but I mean,
yeah, but
all
he
good
means
jokes are
that shit.
all good jokes are steeped
Yeah,
in
he
truth.
definitely means
There's
that
some-
shit. He's not
yeah.
backing off his points just because.
And
Oh,
what
absolutely.
what I've realized since then is that, you know, Jim Jeffries is not saying that my granny is a dumbass piece of shit.
100%.
You know, he's saying that
Everybody
this
else's
story
granny is.
Yeah, this is fucking ridiculous.
yeah.
What are you guys doing? He's speaking more broadly.
Taking these words that were
100%.
put on a paper literally.
And look, man,
is, you know,
let's back it up bigger than that. Let's say that he is. Like all of us here have families that are religious. Well, most of us here, we grew up in the South.
Yeah.
Like we all have our
Oh,
own
yeah.
varying degrees of religion here at the table, but we all have family members, parents, siblings, you know, people dear
sure.
to us.
that you love
very,
and respect.
very
Yeah.
devout believers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Just
like,
gotta respect that shit.
I think it's absolute fucking bullshit. I think they could not be more wrong. I think they're crazy as could fucking be.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't mean that they believe it less, and that doesn't mean it's less meaningful to them, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this guy, a comedian, can make fun of it if he wants. It's fine, but like I've known lots of great people that were religious people, and you know
That helps them live a better life.
there's the religious people
Yeah.
that are the judgy, shitty ones, and there's the religious people that are like, hey man, as far as I can tell, the whole gist of religion, whether it's the Bible or any other religious book, is I think we're supposed to just love other people
You know,
Yeah.
all the time and hope that they love us back and try to make the world better every chance we get. And that's great. And if religion is what it takes to get you to that place as a human, you know, right on. It's
beautiful.
And
Yeah,
I'll
for sure.
restrain myself from like telling you, like, man, like don't do nice things because a magic man in the sky tells you to. Like, just do it. Just do it because it's great.
Yeah.
Because like you like it when people do wonderful things for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
The golden rule is not crazy. Just do unto others, man. It's not
Yeah.
an insane thing. You
Right.
don't need anybody like dancing over the top of the clouds going, be good, be good, be good, be good.
Yeah. Don't do that. I
Don't
talked
do
to
that, do this. Don't do that, do this.
Yeah. I talked to
That's basically the whole Old Testament is summed
yeah,
up right
right.
there.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that, do this. Don't do that, do this. So there you go.
I was in a coffee shop and one time and I saw a guy I knew, went and talked to him, and he introduced me to another guy, and he was like, hey, this is so and so. We talked for a minute or whatever, and he asked about the necklace that I have on right now. And I said, oh, it's a Buddhist necklace. It's a Dharma wheel, and it represents the path to enlightenment, the steps on the way to enlightenment. I said I'm not a Buddhist, but I enjoy being enlightened in life and chasing greater levels of enlightenment or whatever. And he said, I might be able to help you with that. And he said he ended up being a preacher.
Of course. He's ready to proselytize.
Yeah.
The drop of a hat.
So, but he was cool about it. I mean, he was nice. He wasn't overbearing or anything. But he did say his reasons why he thought that Buddhism was a not good religion, and why he thought Christianity was a religion of love. And he goes all these examples saying why he believed Christianity was original religion of love. And no offense to anyone listening, but in my head I was thinking, yeah, except for that whole like burn in hell for eternity part.
Right?
Yeah, kind of a big deal. Don't worry about the Crusades.
The only
Yeah.
the only time I've ever
No big
heard
deal.
Yeah.
Just murdering
Right.
tons of Arabic people. No big deal.
the only time I've ever been like I've heard a decent argument for that. I was in high school and I there's this guy that came to preach at a church I was attending because I liked a girl, which is why you go to church, I guess. Originally.
I think that was Jesus' whole game was to try to see if he could get chicks in.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
But he was like, so basically this is the deal. And he like broke it down for us. He was like, if you don't believe in anything and there is a God and all this stuff, you're kind of screwed. 90% of every other religion in the world believes that if you believe in your God or whatever, you just be happy, do whatever you want to do, you'll reap that benefits. But
Yeah.
if Christianity's right, then everybody else is fucked. And I was like, you know what? That's the only argument I've heard that might get me on board.
I've heard that from these people. They're like, yeah. Like,
But that doesn't
you're
stand
like,
up.
You guys are crazy. You Christians are crazy. None of that's real. And they're like, yeah, well, you're right. I might be wrong. And then they're like, but what if I'm not?
Yeah, it's like,
I'm like, well, look, man.
What kind of
Like,
shit is that?
what if my dick touching my ankles? Like, I mean, we could do the what if game all day. Like, what if I'm not?
Yeah, I mean, I was like 16. I was like, oh, maybe. But then, like,
You know, what if these arms turn into wings and I fly to Timbuktu? I mean, there's a lot of what if games we can play. What if I'm not? You feel free to call me the next time any one person that made it to the afterlife calls you up and is like, hey, man, heaven's great. Let me tell you all about it. Let me know if anybody ever lets you know about it.
that's the thing. The thing is, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. This is why I can't get on board with the atheists, man. Like, I'm not really religious. I don't think the God thing is all that legit, but to say definitively, like, there's no God, there's
Nobody
nothing
can say,
supernatural, I don't know, man. I've heard lots of people tell lots of stories that they firmly believe.
Yeah.
That have changed their lives, that relate to supernatural things, right?
Yeah.
Who am I to say those people are full of shit? I have no idea.
Yeah.
they're like, I saw the light. Yeah, but that light over the operating table is a really bright light, you know? Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm
Well,
just
then
saying.
people ask me, so are you agnostic then? I'm like, well, no, I'm not agnostic. It's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't give a shit. I do give a shit. I think this is really important.
Yeah.
I just can't say definitively one way. I think it takes an equal amount of faith to say there's some divine power.
Yeah.
I'm positive there's this divine power, or to say, like, I'm positive there's nothing beyond what we can see.
Yeah.
I think that is an equally, like, faithful decision to go with.
Either
Like,
way.
you got to just choose to believe either of those, and I can't get all the way there. I like to see facts and evidence, and there's not enough facts or evidence for either of these things.
Yeah.
It just makes me. So that's why I get upset when people on either side, the atheists or the religious people, that are just so certain.
Yeah.
So positive. I'm like, yeah. You're just like, you're positive. You're positive. Yeah, there's no way you could be wrong. Like, there's no way. Because there's, like, most of the world thinks you're wrong, percentage-wise, but there's no way you could be wrong.
Like, most of us would say that there's 100% a table sitting here between us all.
Yeah.
I think it's a desk.
I would like to live in a world where we only deal with things like that. Like, you see this table, so we all agree there's a table here because we can all see it, and let's only deal with things that we can all agree on because we know they are facts.
Live in the now.
But I get people wanting to believe in something greater than you. Of course.
Did you see the movie, what was it, The Invention of Lying?
Yes.
Man,
yes.
it's great.
It's a great
So it's
movie.
really
If y'all have never
interesting.
seen that movie, go see
Definitely
that
go
movie.
check it out. But
Yeah.
the crux of it, where it's essentially about coming up with his whole belief is that religion is just a made up thing to make people feel better about themselves.
Yeah, the movie
And
is
that's
set.
fine.
The movie is set in a time to where nobody lies about it. There's no such thing as a lie. Like,
Yeah, like everyone
when you
always
speak-
tells the truth, which honestly sounds like a sort of a paradise where people like tell the
Yeah.
truth to each other all the
man.
time. So this guy's grandmother is dying, and he's like, "Hey, she's scared," and he's like, "No, don't worry. You're gonna go to this beautiful, wonderful place where everything's great." And he's just making shit up. And
but she has to believe in it.
But you can see how it makes people happier. It
Right.
makes them feel better. It makes them want to do different things if they believe there's something coming on the other side.
Yeah.
And like, whether I think that's right or wrong, who am I to, come down on a thing that makes people contribute to the world more and be better humans?
Yeah. I think.
Plus, it leaves more room for me to do a lot of shit on the edges that they're not really willing to get into.
Right, there you go.
Have you guys seen that new Mark Maron stand-up where he's talking about having a Jamaican lady by your bedside rather than a
I'm going to be
loved one?
honest. I started
He's like,
to watch that last night, and I got 5 minutes in, and he was just going off all political. And I was like,
Well, in the
I don't
beginning
have
he does
time
that.
for this right now.
At one point, he's like, "Oh, you don't want some loved one by your bed? Don't you just want some like Jamaican lady going, 'It's okay, baby, just go to the light'?" Like, it's hilarious. He's getting better with
I'll
age.
check it out.
Look, man, I get it.
Like, I was 5 minutes in, and I was like, I just can't deal with the.
I was
wasn't in
playing,
the right
I do
mindset.
like how he comes out and you're like, "What the
He was
fuck is he talking
right
about?"
in it.
He's
Yeah.
like, what?
I played a solo gig the other night, and like the end of the gig, it's all over. I've been playing for hours, and I'm all done. There's these like middle-aged ladies in town here in Nashville from like Texas or something, and somehow somebody says something about heaven or the after. And we end up in a brief discussion.
Yeah.
And, I know exactly where these ladies stand just by looking at them without even having to ask and
Right.
how dedicated they are, to the Lord.
Yeah.
And I was like,
The Lord.
and I was like, well, look, man, I just think it's all kind of bullshit. But we kind of it didn't get heated, but we kind of went back and forth. And I was looking at him and I was like, just tell me, like, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong with it if this is just it? Why does there have to be something after this? Why does there have to be a heaven or hell? You get to like why is it not okay if this
Yeah.
is just the whole ball game right here is what you got? And I could see, and these ladies were like at least in their 60s, like maybe early 70s, late 60s, and like they had either lost husbands or lost friends. Like they had friends that had died, lots of friends that had died, and you could see like a sadness just at the idea that they weren't going to see these people ever again. And I was like, man, like I don't want to like shit on these old ladies' parade. Like it makes them feel a lot better thinking that all these people they've loved, that like they're gonna see them again, and that it's making their life right now, today, better.
Yeah,
they're happier because they think this is a legitimate thing. And and honestly, I can't tell them that it's not. I have no idea. They might be totally right. All the Christians might be so right, and I might be the world's biggest assholes for saying they're not. Or the Buddhists, or pick your religion. Any of them might be right.
I don't think you being an asshole is determined by the Christians being right or wrong.
Yeah, I'm positive.
I'm
saying they might be right. I have no idea. Who am I to tell them that they're wrong?
There's no doubt to me at all. Like, there's no doubt to me that there is some kind of energy that is connected to all of us.
That's what it feels like, man.
I've been in, I used to play bass in a gospel group, and I've been in churches and singings at
saw your
gospel
and stuff.
Group.
Yeah,
we did.
So I've been in churches to where everybody was singing a song, a hymn, an old like classic or something, Old Rugged Cross or something like that.
Oh man!
And everybody is feeling it, and there's something going on in that room.
Far away.
Yeah. Like, I don't care whether you believe in Jesus or not or whatever, but like when you get in a room full of people believing something. I spent my whole
life leading music in church. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's unbelievable, man. Like when the people are all tuned in, they all are believing it. They're all on that same wavelength.
The tough part is when you start trying to put labels on stuff.
See, but this is, I think, why, man, this conversation has gotten so heavy. I can't
believe
we're
it's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
Can I just like make one more point, and then can we like maybe smoke a cigarette and go back talking about funny shit?
We can do that.
Hey, by the way,
I will tell you when I knew that religion was bullshit was when I realized that I would lead the music in church all the time. I knew how to get these people to the fucking fever pitch of the Holy Ghost, right?
Yeah.
But I was playing gigs in bars too, and I was applying the same things there, and I was getting people just as excited. And I was like, oh. So it's just about working the crowd. That's all I really got to be doing. I just got to know how to get these people to the right place. What I'm doing in church is what I'm doing in the bars, and people are getting the exact same amount of excited. And I was like, oh. So that's the whole God thing is not what's doing it. It's just me. I'm really good at this.
It's the energy, baby.
That
it's
is
the
amazing.
energy. You know what? For this one time, I hope my landlord's not listening right now, but you can just go ahead and smoke cigarettes in here because I don't want to interrupt the conversation we're having.
By the way, while he's lighting a cigarette, our sponsor Ben Ratliff is now on FaceTime over there.
Man,
Ben Ratliff.
I did not know we were on any.
We're not live right now,
now,
but we're live on his FaceTime. So
FaceTime to Ben.
They're all. Hi, Cameron.
We talked about you earlier.
Yeah, so you can just ask.
Let's talk about something fun.
No,
boy.
you know, like I think I can pivot
religion and people's beliefs for a long time. I hope later, Stiefel, that you edit out like the whole last 20 minutes.
I'm going to try to not edit out any of it. So we'll
I got a story that you can edit out that might pivot into some funny stuff.
Why are you going to tell it if you know he's going to edit it?
Well, because it's about like this whole like that energy you're talking about in church. One time, outed the Easter Bunny at my church when I was young for being gay.
Easter bunnies don't belong in church.
No. That's a good story. So one day, this
Jesus' time. It's Easter.
Man. I remember being young enough, but old enough to know that this guy that went up, like one day, the music is moving him, and he goes up and he's talking to the preacher, and he starts screaming. He starts running around the church. I went to a Southern Baptist church. He's running around, and he dresses up as the Easter Bunny every year, right? And so he's running around the church, and I remember I was young enough, I was like, Dad, what's wrong with the Easter Bunny? Like, I was young enough, I didn't know. I thought maybe he was, that's what was happening. My dad was like, oh, the Easter Bunny's sick, and he's trying to, he's really appealing to the Lord. He's repenting, da-da-da-da-da. And I didn't find out till like 5 years later that the Easter Bunny was gay and he had gotten like HIV. And I'm like, why is he the Easter Bunny? I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, why? I think that's why we stopped going to that church.
Oh my God.
It was crazy.
By the way, when your dad's a preacher, you never have the option of not going to that church anymore.
We stopped.
Oh, yeah, you're there.
You're like, this is it. This is our church.
I told my dad that later. I was like, I put that together. And he goes, I didn't know you figured that out. I was like, yeah, I was like 13. I was like, fuck that church. That was terrible.
Oh. All right.
I want to shift.
Talk about something
shift
way
here.
More fun.
I want to talk about.
Oh my God, I'm so tired.
At what point? Okay, Matt Mackey.
Yes.
At what point was it that you were in a band? You were telling me about this at one point. You were in a band in Ohio, maybe, and you decided. You decided, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to like Europe or somewhere. Where'd you go?
I was in Virginia, and I had a good band. They were called Six Chasing Seven.
Yeah, you were telling about that.
Super talented.
Played all over the place.
Yeah, the band was killing it, man. We were doing great, and I had a lot going on those days. It felt like I was like 22, 23, and
a young pup.
That was
22 or 23, Matt Mackey?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Right.
And I was the lead singer of the band, and I was writing the song. But it was like a musical collective. You know, all these guys are talented. Everybody was contributing to the songwriting. We had a good vibe. And then I don't know, man. I couldn't really do it anymore. I felt like it was time to leave. And we had played some good gigs, so I had some extra money. And I played a couple extra solo gigs. I was working at a restaurant. I had a few good
Where
nights.
in Ohio were you? I'm sorry.
I was in Virginia, Lynchburg, Virginia.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Lynchburg, Virginia. It's like in the middle of the great state of Virginia. It's a wonderful place.
Okay.
Largest city in the United States without a major highway. Fun
Really?
fact. Fun
How about
fact.
that?
You had to drive an hour to get to an interstate.
Wow.
Jesus. Doesn't matter. Anyway.
Doesn't matter.
So everything was great, but I had this gig that paid really great, and that gig paid great just randomly, and a few good nights. So I ended up with like $800.
Yeah.
And what I felt like a crushing level of responsibility, and I was like, you know what would be great is if I just bought a one-way ticket to Ireland and left.
What?
Yeah.
And so I did. I didn't tell anybody. I wasn't even at my own home. I was at my friend's house, and I was using his laptop. And I was like hanging out in the bedroom this one night, and I had made a bunch of money in the last like week. Just you know, I had like $800 or $900. You know, I felt like holy shit.
I could do anything I wanted.
I could do anything in the world.
Had you
right
paid
now.
the band yet?
Well, the band did all right. Yeah, they mostly had their money. It
You
was
didn't
fine.
pay the band. That's what that means.
Yeah, they mostly got paid.
They hate you.
Yeah, not anymore. They might have at the time. But
So
I literally just pulled up his laptop, like with like 6 people in the room. We're all just hanging out, drinking, bullshitting, and I just pull out my little debit card, credit card, whatever it was, and I'm like, and I just bought a one-way ticket to Ireland for like $500. I was like, that's cool. I got like $300 or $400 left
after
when
that.
I get there, so I'll be great.
Wow.
And I didn't say shit to anybody. It was for 2 weeks later to leave. And I was like, oh man. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be.
Yeah, didn't even tell him like that week.
I'm going to be suave about this shit. I'm just not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to like disappear in the night like a goddamn ghost.
Good boy, Chance Gray, and
I ended up feeling bad about that. So like with 1 week left to go, I was like, I should tell people. So the band, we were booked in Richmond, Virginia. And we had we were playing like a 4-hour set that night. And we took a break about halfway through, and we were outside, and I was smoking a cigarette. There was like 2 of us that smoked. The other guys that were all like a little more straight edge, and they didn't really smoke, but they were like, we'll come hang, and we're talking. And I was like, yeah, guys, this show's been good. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to be here next weekend for the gigs that we have booked or any of the rest of the gigs that we have booked for the next like 3 months. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, man. So I bought a ticket. I'm going to Ireland. And they're like, when do you leave? I was like Thursday. And they're like, what?
Oh, man.
I was like, yeah, that's it for me, dudes. I'm taking off. And they're like, you're the guy. You write all the songs. You're the singer of the band. You're writing the songs. I was like, yeah.
How long were you in Ireland?
I was only there. Let's see, I left in April. And I was home. I was back in the States by October.
Yeah, because you went too hard.
you weren't there that long.
Nobody went really hard.
Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear about it.
I've heard this. He went really hard.
I had been relatively straight edge most of my life. I'd been pretty religious, and I had only recently broken with the religious code and decided to just get fucked up all the time.
Yeah.
But I was still sorting out a lot of internal feelings. So it was mostly just drinking. Then I get to Ireland, and I'm hanging out with all these musicians that I just start meeting just in bars.
So how did you? Okay, I don't want to interrupt.
No,
too
you're
much.
fine. Go
But
ahead.
when you didn't know anybody there,
Not a single person on the entire continent.
and you just said,
So you didn't know
"I'm
Curtis?
gonna buy,
Nope.
I'm gonna buy a plane ticket to Ireland," and then you just went.
That's correct. I took a
What
bag of
did
clothes and a guitar.
What did you do when you got there? Like, what's going through your mind when you land?
When I landed, I was terrified.
Yeah?
Because when I landed, I realized I was not just in a country where I knew no people. I was on a whole continent. I was across an ocean from the only thing I had ever known in my whole life.
Yeah,
And I was like, this may have been a terrible decision.
yeah.
So I'm just sitting in the airport in Dublin. I don't know what to do, and I go to get my bag. The
You
one
got your
bag
suitcase
I brought,
and a guitar.
Oh no, they fucked my bag. It got lost, and then it got destroyed. So it was a green army duffel bag.
That's all you had?
Thank you, my love. By the way, huge appreciation to Abby Crossett for bringing
Abby's
me
here.
a beer
Hey,
and for
Abby.
being
Abby.
delightful and for basically being the woman that I love more than anything in the
Oh, look at Matt Mackey.
Jonathan Stevens, listen, are we seriously talking about Abby again?
All right,
Oh my
all right,
God.
All right, we can move on from it. Anyway,
All right, so you're in Ireland.
So I land in Dublin, and I was like, "Holy shit! I did this." So I go to get my bag, and they're like, "We can't find it. We can't find it." Finally found it, and it got destroyed. It was one of those green army duffel bags, like
Yeah.
from like Vietnam
Oh, yeah.
War era, you know.
Yeah, I've got
So it got caught at like a treadmill, and it got shredded. So all my
A
shit was
treadmill?
thrown everywhere. It was
Wow.
all gone.
Did
So
they
they're
have-
like,
they
gave
didn't have
me,
any
like-
of it?
They gathered like half of my stuff into like another bag, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Here," and I was like, "Great." So I got my guitar, and I got like half of the clothes that I brought,
Yeah.
and now I'm just in this airport, and I'm like, "What do I do?" I'm all right now, brother. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Now I was like, I didn't have any plan beyond getting to Ireland, so I just sat down, like right
Yeah.
by the baggage claim, and I pulled my guitar out in the baggage claim in the airport in Dublin.
And just started playing and
I just
singing?
started playing guitar, and I was like, I don't know what else to do right now. So I'm just gonna play
wow.
guitar until something happens.
Yeah.
And this dude comes walking up, and he was like, "Hey man, are you American?" I guess you hear my accent or whatever. And he was from the States too. He had also just arrived. And I was like, "Yeah." So we talked for like 10 minutes, and he's like, "I'm going to such and such hostel in town. You want to head that way with me?" And I was like, "That sounds great." And
Yeah,
so I
that's
just
good.
put my guitar and took my garbage bag with half my clothes, and we just
Wow.
headed into town. I was like, this is what's gonna happen."
Wow.
So it turns out I had like $500. I don't know how much I had. I thought I had a good amount of money when I got there.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't need shit. So I was like, this will last me forever. And then I changed it over to euros, and it was like 306 euros
Oh, no.
total. And I was like, I'm in this world now. I'm on this con. I have 306 euros.
Yeah.
And I don't have any idea where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do.
Or what euros means.
So I
but
go
here
with
we
this dude, and he takes me. We go to this hostel. I get a new bag. The airline gave me a voucher to get a bag, and like an asshole, I didn't get a backpack. I got like a duffel bag because I had a duffel bag. Oh, everything just went down.
All right, time out.
Go. We lost it for a second. We're back.
We are back. You were saying.
Oh yeah.
Matt Mackey.
So I just followed this dude. He's like, "Let's go get on this train into town from the airport."
Yeah.
I was like, "Cool." So I go and I get a bag, and we go to this hostel. And he had like planned ahead and booked a hostel, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Cool, I can just stay here." And so I paid, like 30 or 40 of my 300 euro that I had to my name.
306 euros.
I was like, I gotta stay somewhere. I didn't know what to do, so I just
Yeah.
gave him money. So that was for like a night or two, and I was like, now what? And so it turns out one of my roommates in this hostel, this was like a middle-aged Chilean man
Yeah.
who worked as a street performer. He dressed up in all silver makeup like a wizard, and he stood on this huge platform, and he would like stand completely stock still on the street there in Dublin, and people would like drop money in his little thing, and he would like he'd move around and give
Like
him like
a
a
robot
fortune out of his
statue or
sleeve.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was his deal, but he would come over from Chile every year, apparently. I hung out with him a little bit. We talked for a while. He was like 48 or whatever he was.
Yeah.
And so to stay at this hostel for free, he gave tango lessons down in the lobby, like 2 or 3 nights a week. And I was like, that sounds fucking great, man. So I came down, I took tango lessons with him a couple times, met a couple of chicks. We had a wild time, and so he showed me where to go out and busk on the streets in Dublin. And I was like, man, I could use some free nights at this hostel. I don't really have any more money to stay here.
Yeah.
And so I went and talked to the people at the desk, and I was like, I can do, I can do some shows. So anyway, I worked it out with these people at this hostel where I would play in their lobby like 2 nights a week, and they would let me stay there like 4 nights a week. And so I would just like 2 nights, and I would just stand there. And I told them my name was Memphis Mackey.
Ah,
I would just want to see how it felt.
Which, by the way,
I just wanted to test it out.
yeah. And when
Yeah.
you're on a different continent,
My little
you can
boy.
do
So
that.
look, I went by Memphis Mackey for a while, and people everywhere I went were like, "Is that your real name?" I was like, "Fuck you, man! Who asked the person that question?
Yeah.
If they say this is what my name is, this is what
This
their
is my
name
name,
is."
yeah.
So my little boy, his middle name is Memphis. I'm determined for him to call himself Memphis Mackey, and I want him to find all of those assholes, all of those people
he
that were
has
like, "Is that
these-
your
This is
real
my
name?"
legal name.
Just so he could be like, "You goddamn right, that's my
he
name."
has the best name ever. It's Jameson Memphis Mackey.
Yeah, a
that's
rock and roll whiskey in a rock and roll
name.
city.
I mean, fucking
That is
awesome.
good.
And then look, I can't help the last name. I did find while I was living in Ireland, speaking of my last name, Mackey,
Yeah.
while I was traveling. So I'll skip all the time I spent in Dublin, but I ended up with this dude who was like a poet, and we were like traveling down the east coast of Ireland. We ended up sleeping on these like gravel beaches.
I believe this. I believe everything so far.
It was very bizarre, but at one time we would take the train when we could get enough money, when we could busk or whatever, and we would like walk through grocery stores and steal bread and cheese and sit on hilltops and just eat it like kings, and it felt wonderful. And,
You still do that.
yeah, that's a fact. We're just not in Ireland. But yes, I do still do that. But I found this pub. I get off the train in this little town on the east coast of Ireland, and it's Mackey and Sons Pub. Mackey, spelled just like mine.
Yeah.
It's the English spelling, because Gaelic, you guys wouldn't know this, but I looked it up. Gaelic doesn't have an E or a Y or some fucking shit. I don't know. It wouldn't be able to spell it Mackey in Gaelic.
Yeah.
It would have to be the English. But it said Mackey, Mackey and Sons Pub.
Yeah.
It's closed, but it was like 11 in the morning, 10 in the morning. And I was like, okay. I'm definitely coming back. So we go to this hostel, and we end up hanging out with these two chicks from Israel for a while. And then they try to fuck this dude from Holland who was like middle-aged on holiday. And I ran into those chicks months later on the west coast of Ireland, and they kept trying to call me Memphis, but I'd given up Memphis by then. I was mad, and I felt very weird and
Oh my
embarrassed.
God.
Because I was with my real
not me.
friends.
That's a different
I was
guy.
with my friends on the West Coast who knew me as Matt, and these fucking Israeli chicks that I hadn't seen in months come walking up on the street out of nowhere, like, Memphis! I'm like, oh, I don't know who they're talking to. That's crazy. Anyway, but this is when we met the Israeli chicks, and that's not important at all. So we take them to this pub there in town, and I asked the guy, the bartender, and I was like, hey, man, what's the story with the Mackey and Sons pub up the road? I got to go check these fuckers out. These are my people. This is my family.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, they've been dead for years. Oh, sure, there's no one there at all. No, they've been fucking dead for ages. And I was like, well, come on, man. This is all I was looking for when I came here.
It's terrible news.
How long have they been dead, and how many of my people are dead? It was fine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that night got way weirder, honestly. I won't even...
Did you ever talk to the Israeli chicks again that were calling you Memphis?
Well, no, I met them the first time on the east coast of Ireland, and then that was over. And then months later, they just walked... I was literally standing on the street playing guitar, busking, just like... I lived in Galway, Ireland, on the west coast. Which
So
is
just singing, when you say busking, you just mean just like
standing
singing
on the street singing songs, man. Just,
for tips, whatever.
Yeah,
somebody
playing
wanted
for
to
whatever
do.
people put in there. We drank a lot on the street.
Euros,
that kind of
apparently.
thing. So here's a fun fact. In Europe, the euro, they have a €1 and a €2 coin. People like to
Okay.
give coins to people on the street playing music in this
Yeah.
country and every country. But in those countries,
It's
if
actually
you get
a-
coins, it's
yeah.
$1 and $2.
Yeah.
A little helpful.
What is the transfer over?
We
from
lose
euros
to the
a
euro.
dollar?
It's like a 150 is a euro.
To 1 euro?
roughly.
Really?
Yeah, we lose to the euro. I don't know.
Okay.
Everything's fucked now that England is leaving, but who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Leaving. Where
Shit's
are they
getting
going?
crazy.
The Brexit, man. The Brexit. They're going to leave the
Cardwell,
EU.
you can't talk off the microphone like that, man. Come on now.
Oh, yeah, I can, but it,
It just ruins everything.
ruins it. I just said shit's getting crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that means
always
that's
been
what we
Brexit.
do here. Yeah,
It's always
100%.
been crazy. We just know more about the crazy now.
I stopped. I took like 3 months off of Facebook. It was the best 3 months ever.
Yeah.
It was so great.
I believe it. I fantasize about it sometimes, not having to have any of the social media because I mean, when you do what we do in the entertainment business,
have to
and
have it
stuff,
out there.
you got
You're
to.
right.
You have to. But
Yeah.
I've got a buddy, like one of my best friends I grew up with, that he sells cardboard boxes for he's a salesman.
Like
for a
one at a
cardboard
time
box
to
company.
homeless people. Like, here you go,
Oh my
man.
God.
No,
We
but
just
he-
sold a fridge down the street, and so we got.
No, but he works for a company and they sell like recycled cardboard boxes, but also like displays that they set up in like Costco and Walmart and whatever, like DVDs and whatever. Like
That kind
those
of
display things.
not
that
just
they
like
set up.
boxes, but like cardboard stuff,
Sit-ups and
cut up.
displays
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Like when you see like
fancy
50,
cardboard boxes.
like when you
Right.
see the Snickers
Anyway,
and Reese's
that's-
by the
that's-
aisle. Okay,
He doesn't care about this part at all. Keep
That
going.
has nothing to do with it.
we're focused on it. We're doing it. More about the cardboard, Steve.
So he does that, but he is not on any social medias. That's his job. He goes and does that and sells things, and he's got no Facebook, no Instagram, no whatever, Pinterest or Twitter, nothing. And I talked to him the other day. I was like, so what do you do? Like with all your time that you save from checking stuff like the rest of us do.
Yeah, you mean like what do you
He's
do?
like, I fucking live, man. I
Yeah,
look up
right.
at the sky. I'm like, oh my God, those clouds are beautiful.
I have sex with my wife.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
she's amazing, and my kids are amazing, and
Yeah.
my fucking yard is great, and I cut it just yesterday. And look,
Right.
I have so much time when I don't
Yeah.
worry about this shit.
Well, like the thing was, like I went no social media, and that lasted about like a month because the only thing that I figured out that I couldn't fill the void was when I was taking a shit. I was like, I don't know what to do when I'm taking
Yeah.
a shit now.
Man, when
Sudoku.
So I got Instagram
Sudoku.
back, so I could at least look because Instagram ends at one point. It stops updating, and because I don't know
Yeah.
if it's shitty or whatever. I just
How long are your shits? Like, I've never scrolled all the way to the bottom of Instagram, not ever, not one time. Like you gotta be, that's a marathon sesh. If
It's-
it's just
it's
like,
it's
that's it.
internet
That's
connection.
the end of Instagram. I got
No,
all the way to the bottom. I should probably wipe and get
the
hell
internet
out of here.
internet connection, man. I don't know if it's the end
That's
of
how
Instagram.
you get hemorrhoids. Look, man, this should be a PSA. Don't get hemorrhoids. Never find yourself on the toilet all the way to the bottom of Instagram.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
I didn't know there was a bottom of Instagram.
I think it's until it won't refresh, man. It's like a
I
connection.
didn't
I
know
think it has
that part
something to do with
existed
that.
until right now.
I think it has something to do with that.
Well, you also don't have an iPhone. You have like
Let's
a
get off on the whole. I don't know.
We're not going to
Talk
talk
about
about.
this.
You don't want to talk about pooping anymore.
I don't
That's
want to hear
fine,
about
man.
Cardwell pooping.
that was
but
just
who?
the thing.
So that's a great question. So then, who would you like to hear about? Because that was very specific.
I feel like we're about to talk about somebody new in Stifel's life.
Hey,
Steve-
We don't have to get
Segue.
weird. Look, man. Look, everybody gets new loves in their life, in and out, and nobody ever wants to talk or think about them
She's-
shitting. That's not.
That's not how that segue was supposed to go. We were supposed to get
that's
off
not
that.
Ever a part of it,
Man, hey, by the way, I would not have made it home the other night had we not. Like, oh man, I was like,
Yeah, she came through in the clutch.
so
Oh, yeah.
thankful.
Well, you
yes.
know, it happens.
We got to say, I don't like to touch on people's personal lives, but I will say Jacob Stiefel has found himself a gem.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's found himself a gem.
Put her up on the pedestal.
Well deserved. Well deserved.
When she's very wee, little tiny, so a pedestal is probably good for her, just to like.
What was
so she can
that?
See over the crowd.
Was she around when we were talking about your? I think I was telling her about when you passed out in the middle of the.
Oh,
Yeah, she asked me. All right, so look, man.
Because I was telling her about it, and then I told her to bring it, or like somehow we brought it up the other day. But it's one of my favorite Matt Mackey stories.
Look, so
all.
there was a time, I played lots of solo gigs because you got to. That's how it is. But at this particular phase of my career, I had a whole loop station going. So I would take a keyboard and a guitar and a bass and a couple of different vocal mics, and I would loop all of them through like one mixer, and then I would run that mixer through a whole loop station. Wait.
There
That's what
go.
you wanted.
That's it. Yeah.
And so I would create a whole bit, and I was doing percussion, I was like really into Kelly Williams and shit like that, and I was like, I could do all kinds of cool, I can loop, I can create a whole symphony all by myself. So I thought
Yeah.
that was great. So at the same time as all I was doing those things, I played at this bar where they were doing, do you remember when this was very hip in all the bars, the infused vodka, like strawberries in the vodka or the whatever fruit,
Yeah,
kiwis
like
in the,
soaked in the- yeah, yeah.
and you drink it, it was so sweet, it didn't even taste like booze hardly.
Yeah.
And I was young, and some might call me foolish, and that's fine. Maybe they still do. I don't know. But I had this Nalgene bottle I used to take to gigs, sometimes for water, but sometimes for booze. And I knew these people at this bar, so I got a beer when I came in. I was like, hey, darling, why don't you go ahead and just fill this Nalgene bottle up with that strawberry vodka you guys got up there? I bet you that's delicious. I'll just sip on that for a while I play. I got a whole gig, I'll be fine. So she did.
Wow.
She literally topped off the Nalgene bottle with
That's too much.
straight, but because it was this strawberry vodka, that's a lot of vodka, right? But
Yeah.
when it's this strawberry infused stuff they have, it doesn't taste so strong. You feel like you're just drinking this delicious beverage. So I polish off that beer quick, and by the end of my first set, the Nalgene bottle, well, that's empty.
Oh my God.
Turns out. So I take a break, and I go over to the bar, and I get myself another beer. And I was like, hey, darling, why don't you go ahead and fill up this Nalgene bottle again? And so she did. Like a delightful treat.
My liver is
So
hurting.
I'm finishing off this beer. I got another Nalgene bottle of essentially straight vodka, but it's so strawberry, and it's so good.
Strawberry.
So I take it with me. So I play my second set, and it turns out it's so delicious. I finish another whole Nalgene bottle of it. So now I take another break. I got one more set, and I go to the bar again. Now I was like, "Hey, darling, let me get another beer, and why don't you go ahead and fill this Nalgene bottle up for the third time? I'm sure that'll be fine." So she did, because we're friends, and you gotta live. It's no big deal.
She thought
And
she was
I-
getting a good tip.
I
but she
remember
didn't.
that happening, and I remember going back up and starting the last set, and like I had the keys and the bass. I had like a whole loop going, percussion. There's a whole song. Everything's cool. It's all just coming out of the speakers. So I was like, I'm just gonna walk out in the crowd.
So you had it like loop for people who
the loop,
don't know.
Yeah,
like,
boom. The loop was happening. So the music is playing.
You record a
over the top
piece
of
and
me.
then you go and you,
I'm
you
playing
set
the guitar.
that and it plays that over and over
Record
again.
this guitar part. Then I grab the bass. I'm gonna record this bass part. And then here's the keys. I'm gonna do this keys
And then
part.
you've got a
I'm
thing
singing
set
multiple
up
vocal parts.
that
I got a
keeps
whole
playing.
song going,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, fuck it. I'm going out in the crowd. I'm gonna dance with these people. Because I got the whole groove happening. And it's all happening now. It's automated. I just have been hitting this pedal. I worked it all up. I'm gonna go out here. We're gonna rock and roll. And it's the last thing that I remember at all. Is deciding I'm gonna go dance with these people.
Right.
The next thing is the next morning, me waking up in my bed in my house, and I was like, last thing I remember was me playing a gig, and turns out what I did was walk out into the crowd of people and look at those people, and then black out and fall onto the ground flat entirely.
Oh my god.
Entirely.
Guitar on and everything.
Yeah, I had my guitar just onto the ground in the middle of all these people. But I had some friends at the gig, and apparently what they did, like good friends would do, is pick me up, drag me outside, and laid me in my car, and then broke down all my gear, put it all in my car, and drove me home and put me in my bed. And I remember not anything other than getting up, like, I could do one more set. I'll be all right.
Right.
And then the next morning.
What I want to know is, what did that sound like? What was that loop?
I want to know what. No, I
I'd
want to
love
know what
tell
that.
you what it sounded like.
I want to know
But I
what the
have no-
noise when he hit the ground with the guitar.
Yeah, but I
on
bet
and
that
everything
loop
sounded
was
like.
god awful. I bet it was
You know,
terrible. I
at
bet it
the
was
time,
the worst
I felt
shit.
like I was killing it, but you're probably right.
Yeah.
It was probably really
What do you think it was like? Play that funky music or something?
Yeah, basically that crossed
I don't know, dude.
all the best music
I've heard
ever.
you play guitar sober, so there's no fucking telling how that shit
Yeah,
was
it's true.
going.
Yeah, I did leave that part out of this, where like all the instruments I just named that I was using as part of my loop, I'm not very good at any of those instruments. So
Mediocre.
It was all pretty basic stuff.
Self-proclaimed, like the first time I played, hey y'all, don't follow me. Y'all better learn these songs. Don't follow me.
Chance, you're being kind of quiet over there.
I can't help it.
How you doing?
Are you trying
doing
to
good.
rub
You good?
one out on the sly? Is that what's going on?
Oh man.
Oh no, I'm not that
I
sneaky.
feel like Chance.
Oh no, I'm not
that
that
sneaky.
sneaky.
I feel like one time Chance and I were hanging
great.
out. We were on a journey of some sorts, mental journey of
All
sorts.
the best ones are.
And he looked at me and he said, "Jacob, I think I'm higher than I ought to be." I rolled over. I said, "Man, what's an oughter be?" And then I proceeded to laugh at myself for a solid 15
Look,
minutes.
people judge laughing at yourself, but I think it's great. Sometimes I say shit, I'm like, I think that's really funny. And I want to laugh about
to
it.
this day, one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
Everyone is
said it.
entitled to laugh at themselves. That was a great time to laugh at
Yeah.
yourself because that's fucking hilarious.
Because I legitimately was like, what is an otter bee? He's higher than that.
Look, man, we can talk about drugs here for a second. Here's what I'll say about drugs.
Say it.
Me, myself, I'm a big believer in drugs. I think they're fantastic. But that's not for everybody. Everybody has different reactions to all different kinds of drugs, different experiences. You got to do what you got to do. All I recommend to people is don't say to yourself, this is terrible, about a thing that you have never, ever tried.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I will add a caveat. As a pure hypocrite, there are several really intense drugs that I have never tried because
Yeah.
I'm like, that seems terrible.
Yeah, right.
I remember the first time that I got high with Chance, and like Chance we were on the road. I think we were doing like a Midtown Masquerade, which, you know, it's Monday
road,
night,
yeah.
Midtown Masquerade. We were on the road and we got stoned, and Chance was just staring at the concrete, and like he goes upstairs, like he kind of needed to, you know, be away from people. And me and a bunch of guys are laying in the hotel room later, and I remember just going, you know, man, I'd pay good money to be his highest chance right now. Like, I've been chasing that shit since the first time.
I remember you saying that. I've been chasing that shit since college.
Damn. I was like, yeah,
you know
fuck.
what?
That's what we all want.
That's a great point that you bring up. That's the beauty of drugs is like this amazing experience. And when you take any drug, whatever it might be, like all the goddamn time, it changes it, right? And it's no longer a thing where it's like, wow, this feels amazing right now. It's more like, oh, I just kind of got to get back to level.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what you.
Or I'm just going to take this because it makes me remember how it felt the first few times I took it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Some
man.
of them.
I want people
Not
to
all
feel
of
good
them.
all the time. I think everybody's entitled to it. I just feel like there's so many people out there that are like, oh, I've never had a drink, or I've never taken a drug, or
Yeah, it's
never
like
fucked a stranger,
and not
or
to
whatever
get
it might
into,
be.
not to get into anything, but like politicians that preach against weed or drugs or whatever.
Thanks,
I want to be
Richard
like,
Nixon.
have you ever sat down and ate some pot brownies?
Here's the
Or
deal.
you
They
know?
have, but they can't admit that shit because
Right.
they're politicians now.
Yeah.
So they gotta be like, oh yeah, they gotta go Clinton-esque.
Hey, man.
They're like, oh yeah, like I didn't inhale.
Right.
Shit's changing.
You know, I took a drag off that joint, but I didn't like put it in my lungs.
Shit's changing,
Yeah.
man. We were in Athens, Alabama this past weekend, and Sharp and I were in a gas station, and I swear to God,
Quick shout out to Michael Sharp, our keyboard player, who we love and adore.
Yep, who's playing with some boobies
There
right
you
now.
go.
Yep, he is. That's what he's doing. He was supposed to come hang
He
out
is.
with us.
That's what he's doing.
When he's playing with some boobies.
Hey, kudos to you, Mr. Sharp.
Yeah, kudos.
We love you, Michael Sharp. Good for you. Knock it out.
So what?
He thought it was live. He wanted to hear that and be playing with him. But
So
I was
what
like,
were
he
we
did.
saying, though?
Well,
We were
the thing is, we're in Alabama, and shit is changing because at this little gas station that didn't even have like all the drinks that you would think they would have, they
Yeah.
were selling CBD edibles, CBD oil, CBD
wait, hold
drip.
on.
Yeah,
At
a
the gas station
in
in Athens, Alabama.
They're selling like, which is not.
Look,
you
man,
know,
they're
like-
right down from Muscle
So for
Shoals.
the people
There's
that don't
a lot
know,
of musicians around there. They're trying to be
for the
cool.
people that don't know, THC is what is in weed that gets you high. The CBD is what they would give people for medical that don't want to be like
not
high.
psychoactive, yeah.
It just is for your body, like relax for muscle and all that stuff. They're selling it in the gas station, and I was like, they got edibles. They got. I mean, I'm telling you, they sell it at the head shop up in
babies.
Hendersonville,
Alabama.
They sell all of it at the head shop in Hendersonville.
Yeah, it's what like so many people don't understand, and I don't know, not to talk down to anyone, but people in like bigger cities and in California and Denver and like these places, more of those people get it. But like I know so many people back home and people that might be listening to this, whatever.
Back home
don't,
for Stiefel is Alabama. By the
yeah.
way, baby.
People that don't know, and they don't know about THC.
Well, because they grew up in a
and stuff
world
like that,
where we all come from in more conservative parts of the country. Like I was born in Missouri. I mean, we got Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, like Louisiana, the Carolinas. Like really, most of the Southeast. You know, they grew up in a conservative world with smoking grass. It's like it's what hippies and heathens and shit.
Yeah.
And they
The
don't consider
devil's
the
lettuce.
fact. I mean, it's not a big secret now how medicinally it helps so many people in so many different ways, right? But they can't break out of that mindset. I've talked to lots of my friends, like
It's
parents.
money. It's not a mindset. It's they can't break out of making
Well, it's
that
still
money for
carried
the
over.
pharmaceutical drugs.
Well, what I mean is like my friends, folks that are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. You know what I mean? Who their hands ache or their knees ache or whatever their ailment is.
Oh,
like, simple
man.
thing. And I'm like, hey. And I'm not trying to get them to roll up a joint. You know, if they've never been smoking grass, they're not going to skin up a joint. Now, first of all, if you don't smoke in general, your lungs can't take that shit, and that's fine. That's okay. But these days, there's so many edibles. There's
But
tinctures.
they see that they think, oh no,
Yeah,
dope,
but I'm saying you
know.
can do something. You can
Yeah.
eat an edible. You can have a tincture, and like it can alleviate their pain. It
I
can
wish
give them an appetite. It can help people.
Yeah, so much. I wish that I could, make my dad some pot brownies with the CBD
Oh, man.
oil, or like my granny or something. Like people that have arthritis in their joints. and
I've
it would,
really
like,
thought about sneak. I know exactly what you're talking about. People like that in my life and your
Yeah.
life and my friends. And I've thought about like, should I just do it? Should I
Oh,
just
dude,
lie to
make it
them?
in 'em? Yeah.
Should
I
I
got-
just give them brownies and not tell them that it's in there? And just like when they're feeling great and when their hands finally don't hurt for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah.
And should I then tell them like, hey, by the way, I put fucking weed in those brownies, and that's why you feel good. I'm not trying to get you high. I'm trying to make your hands not hurt anymore,
Yeah.
man. I'm trying to make you like have an appetite for the first
Share
time.
this
in 6
joy
months.
with
Yeah.
you. Yeah, for sure.
I got
I'm
a
not
buddy.
trying to turn you into a hippie who smokes grass all day. I'm just saying like this can help your life, man. I want
Yeah.
you to feel better.
I got a buddy who's dead. He was a preacher, and he was getting towards the end of his life, and his appetite wasn't there, and they gave him some tiny pieces of edibles, like tiny, like tiny,
Yeah,
and
if
he
you
was
don't
like
smoke all the time,
eating
just a
all
little
whole
edible
meals
gets it.
and like changing his life and like the comfort of his life at the end of his, and he was like, hey, totally reformed on the
I
whole
will
idea.
say, I almost feel, guilty is not the right word, but like, I am the kind of people that they point at and they're like, grass should not be legalized, right? Like, I just smoke because I like fucking smoking grass and it makes me feel good. And that's it. It doesn't, like, medicinally, it makes my tummy feel a little better, like it helps me out. Hang on a second.
Speaking of which, time
But
out.
I don't have any particularly debilitating disease. I just like to smoke grass, and I feel like people like me is what gives it a bad name when they're like, oh, like we don't want to legalize it because there's gonna all these fuck ups out there that just want to get high just to get high, and that's fine. Maybe that is my fault, and people like me, and it's our fault. But like, there's an awful lot of people that drink just to get drunk.
That's the thing, man.
Everywhere, but not even that. Like, I don't care about that. That's legal now. We fought that battle in like the 20s. We're almost 100 years past prohibition, so fuck that. They tried to get rid of booze. That was obviously crazy.
I mean,
weed has been a different deal, but look, I don't want people like me that just like smoking grass because it feels good to get in the way of the huge amount of people that physiologically could be reaping huge benefits from having grass. You know what I mean? Like we said, it doesn't have to be smoking. Like, just smoke something. To smoke a cigarette or a joint or whatever. That's the lung thing that gets in you. But
we've all seen the videos.
There's so many ways to get THC now without it. I don't want people that need it to suffer because there's people in Georgia that are like, oh, I don't want hippies smoking joints outside my kid's school.
Yeah. Or like Jeff Sessions saying that like good
marijuana,
people don't smoke marijuana.
Don't. Jeff Sessions, look, man, he
fuck that.
I don't even want to. Yeah, we've avoided
Unplugged.
politics this
Right,
whole time.
yeah, let's not do it.
Jeff
Yeah.
Sessions is a good old boy, Alabama politician. He knows how to be a great politician.
I'm sure, like most people, I bet there's good things about him. I bet there's bad things
That's
about
what
him.
I'm saying.
For sure.
He has been a political animal in the state of Alabama since like the 70s.
Right.
And he knows that game well. And in Alabama, it plays well.
But you
like,
can't be
weed is
can't be
terrible.
so close minded. Forget about him.
Look,
you can't be that close minded about
I'm going to
anything.
say something here.
No.
It might be a little controversial because I don't know how old all of our parents are. This is what I believe. The world, forget about the world. This country, I won't get so broad. This country cannot be on a successful track until everyone that was born prior to the Voting Rights Act of 1965 is dead. Every person that was born in this country prior to 1965 has to be dead. Every single one.
Right.
All of our parents, all of our aunts and our uncles, every person born prior to 1965 is going to have to be gone. I don't want there to be anyone that was alive before black people had an equal right to vote as white people. I don't want anyone to be alive left before Jim Crow was fucking gone. That is the day we might have a fucking chance.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it'll ever be equal footing for everybody, but that's just what I think. I'm a big believer. I'm waiting for the day. What year is it now? It's 2017, 1965, 40, 50. So yeah, we're talking about people that are like in 55 to 60 right now. All those people of that age and older, they all have to be dead.
Well,
I mean, it's a crazy thing to say
Because they grew
for
up
a lot
at a
of
time
people.
when racism was okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
it's not
'cause
their
the
fault,
moment
but
they
that's what it was.
the moment they get like 67, they all turn like super racist and they say crazy shit, and you're like,
No
why are
bullshit. They were always racist. They're just old.
Yeah,
they
it
want to say
just
it
comes
loud
out.
now.
But
Yeah.
that's what happens. You're like, man,
Well,
fuck.
the thing
and
is,
I
and
can't
it's
believe this.
like anything else. It's not everybody.
You're absolutely
But it's-
correct, man. But you look at that shit that went down
Like,
in
'cause
Charlottesville, and you
yeah.
you look at those pictures of these motherfuckers carrying torches.
Yeah, but I
and
mean,
I'm
it's
that
like you
guy
can't-
looks like he's like 36.
Yeah.
How is that possible? I thought this
Right?
was restricted to only people 65 and older
Yeah,
that had
no.
this kind of crazy.
There's
thing.
that guy, and then there's like my 89-year young grandma who
Yeah.
would stop on the side of the road and give the clothes off her back to anybody, regardless of their
I know.
color.
Speaking
or
of broad
anything.
terms,
Yeah.
when I say all the old people have to die,
But I know what you mean.
know.
I know what you mean, though. Because I
Man.
mean, because thinking of back in Alabama, they're still arguing on whether or not you should be able to buy alcohol on Sunday or something like that. Like they're just now
Right.
getting to go wet with alcohol.
These people
sales.
have a really difficult time separating religion from the law,
Yeah.
separating their religious beliefs and their faiths from the rule of law of the land.
Yeah.
Which I understand. Look, we live in a world where you're allowed to vote and decide what you want, and if everybody wants to make the Bible the law of the land, and that's what 60% of the country says you want to do, then that's the kind of country we live in. Let's get down to that. I'm hip to it.
Man, no matter how many times we go fun, we keep getting this like, wow, we're going serious, right?
All right, do you guys want to talk about titties? We can just do that.
do
That's
that.
way
Just
more
move.
fun.
No, you're fine. I mean,
That's way
like,
more
'cause-
fun than talking religion.
We keep-
than
no, but
talking
it's
titties.
great.
Well, just because with
The
that,
flow.
like, because I was saying, I understand what you're saying with that, because I've thought as far as the whole drinking thing, and it sounds terrible to say that, but once you get to a certain point, and when the people, that the majority of them think X way, you know, a certain kind of way, you know, once they all kind of pass away and pass on and move on, like
booze is a great example. We tried prohibition in the 20s. It didn't. We tried to say like we live in a religious, God fearing country, and we're not going to have alcohol. They literally tried to make alcohol illegal. Like you cannot drink alcohol in America. That was the thing they tried to do, and that lasted for what, a decade. There's not anyone with any sense in the world that's ever read any scientific study or honestly just ever looked at people in a bar on Friday night that would argue that weed makes people more belligerent or more harmful than booze.
Yeah, I don't.
You know what I mean?
Because
it got stigmatized by Nixon, the war on drugs, and that was it. The game was over. I mean, this is
name the
Class
person
A
that
drug,
you
man.
know that smokes the most weed, and then the person you know that drinks the most, and tell me which one of them are more destructive to society.
right. Who's gonna hit their spouse? Who's gonna hit their kids? Who's gonna crash their car? You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah.
Like weed is not for everybody, but for it to be like booze is not for everybody either. But,
Not at all.
I can walk down the street and buy a can of beer.
Yeah. We can go right now to the store and get, or 2 hours ago, and get a bottle of Jack Daniels, and then we can go and get a carton of cigarettes, and we can drive to a parking lot somewhere and drink and smoke all of that.
We can't go pick up a couple of pre-rolled joints.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Worst case scenario, we're gonna go get some late night Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make. I mean, we'll get there. It'll get there, man. I think so. I got a little 9-year-old boy, right? He's in third grade. He doesn't know shit about the world. Doesn't know anything about pussy. Doesn't know anything about drugs. Doesn't know anything about any of the shit we've been talking about tonight. Religion, you name it. He's 9 years old. He's just a kid living his life, having a great time.
Yeah.
But by the time he's our age, we're in our 30s. I think to myself, he's 9 right now. Surely weed just will be a non-issue by the time he's our age. Like wherever he lives, weed will be just like booze by the time he's in his 30s. Or by the time he's even in his 20s, honestly. He can just as easily go buy an eighth of grass as he can go buy a 6-pack of beer, and it's up to him whether he wants to do it or not.
Yeah.
Well, like it should be. I mean, like I
That's
really
what I'm
think
saying,
the only
you know?
restriction on like weed is not so bad as bad as alcohol. That the only restriction on it is like if you can't pay your bills because you're buying weed, or like you're smoking weed and you're fucking up your life, then don't buy weed or fuck up do that. But that's the same as booze.
Yeah.
Like that should be the
For
only
sure.
requirement because that's other than that, like it's I know people that smoke because they got ailments, people that smoke because they got mental disorders, all kinds of crazy stuff.
I'm on board the weed train. Like so, I lean a little bit more towards the full libertarians, the Rand Pauls of the world, that, or even.
Of course you do.
Well, just like when it comes to drugs, as far as like like, who gives a shit? Like let's legalize it all. You want to do heroin? You're a grown adult, and you can do what you want. Like any drug, do whatever you want. I get that argument, and there's a part of me that's really hip to it.
Man, if we did that, everyone would have to stay in their house for like a month.
Well, then at that point, you can make that argument. You can make that argument about every substance.
Yeah,
You're really
for
going to
sure.
open it all up: cigarettes, caffeine.
Like, and
fat,
I
sugar,
also
whatever.
understand, like, I'm not for, like, total anybody do anything at any time.
Well, but this is what I would argue with marijuana, at least, regardless of all these other drugs, whether it's heroin or cocaine or whatever else. With marijuana, there are tangible, proven medical benefits. It can help people, right? This is a drug that can make people with cancer have an appetite who haven't had an appetite in 6 months.
Yeah.
So fuck the cocaine or the methamphetamines or the heroin. We can discuss all the other, recreational drugs, whether they should be legal or not.
Later, yeah.
But this is a thing that is clearly proven to be able to
And
help
even-
people.
even
So
with-
why are we dilly dallying?
Yeah. Even with that, I think it shouldn't be like any age. I feel like it should be similar to alcohol. It should be like 21 and older, or whatever
100%.
like that, because it still affects your brain
Look,
when
man,
your brain's still developing.
If I get sick, there's a lot of drugs that I can't go get unless I go to a doctor, right?
Yeah.
You can go to a CVS or whatever pharmacy. You can get this and that over the counter, but there's a lot of stuff. If you really need it, you got to go to a doctor. You got to have a prescription. That's the only way you get these pills or this tonic or whatever. I'm okay with even grass being like that. Like, okay, You got to go to a doctor. You got to get a prescription. It's heavily, regulated like a lot of drugs in this country that are created by all kinds of medicinal companies.
Yeah.
I'm okay with regulating it, but to say like you just can't. Just no. No. This thing that helps people? No.
Right.
Come on, man. Like, this
I actually heard
such an
interesting
argument.
Interesting story. I forgot what country it was, but some country they made heroin legal, but you had to go to a specific clinic to do it.
I heard about that.
So you had to go, like you could go check in.
It was one of the Scandinavian countries. I remember reading about this also.
It's like Poland. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was like Norway or anyway. But they said, if you go check into this place, you can stay there and you can do heroin.
Well,
but you can't just go out into the public and do it.
Then, this is where it gets hazy, right? So
Yeah.
this is where, on the one hand, like in this very country, like it's like the people that want to teach only abstinence to high school kids.
Yeah.
Like if you never have sex, then you will never get an STD and you'll never get pregnant. And like we only want to teach abstinence to these kids because that's the only surefire way. But like the part of that's fucking crazy is that like there's no way you're ever gonna get all high school kids to not fuck.
Yeah.
Well, so like the idea of drug prevention as like we're gonna make sure nobody takes drugs, equally ineffective, right? Like people are gonna get into it. So countries that decide like someone's gonna use heroin, someone's gonna snort cocaine, someone's gonna smoke grass, someone's gonna do basically every drug we can think of. Somebody's gonna do it. Yeah. So we could either criminalize those people and put them in an institution where they're going to get worse, or we can give them this little space where they can do
what they
this
found
shit.
Was, in this study that they did when they tried it out, what they found was that heroin use went up, but heroin addiction went down.
Interesting.
Yeah. So people used it more, but it wasn't like the whole stigma of being illegal. Having to, I don't know.
People having to hide. People keeping it under the table. I mean, this is it. This is why the war on drugs is a failure, right? Like we have an entire ecosystem of people buying and selling drugs all off the radar, all off the tax
same reason
grid.
Prohibition didn't work.
It's honestly, it's not. Yeah, that's exactly right. All they have to do is look at the 1920s, and they're like, you know what? Didn't we do this before?
Yeah.
I feel like all that happened is people started making shit tons of money without paying taxes on it, instead of making shit tons of money while they are paying taxes on it.
Right.
The negative stigma. I mean, like I know people that are like trying to get got off or trying to get off the stuff, and they're like the hardest part is that when you tell people that you're doing this, is that they're like, "Oh, you piece of shit," because it's so negative, and it's. I mean, it is negative, but it's not. Like it's
interesting when you.
It's just a thing that happens.
The studies in in this country, we treat drugs as a criminal issue, but in a lot of countries they treat it as a medical issue. And addiction is a medical deal. So in a lot of European countries, when they focus on the medical side of people's drug addiction versus the criminal side of drug addiction. So instead of locking people up, putting them in jail because they put a fucking needle in their arm, which whether it's a crime or not, that person's definitely not getting better. If you just throw them in a jail cell because they've been putting a needle in their arm. So if you treat it as a medical issue, maybe they'll get better, maybe they won't, but they for sure won't get better if you just lock them in a jail.
Yeah.
If you put them in treatment, give them 50-50 or whatever. Like you might get a productive, contributive citizen out of it in your country.
Yeah, I was talking
if
to
you give them a chance to get better.
I was talking to a guy I know back in Alabama that's a lawyer, and he's also a part-time judge. And I was talking.
Only in Alabama, I was like, I know this guy, man. Look, he's a lawyer, but he's also a part-time judge. He wins all his own cases.
Does he ever double dip, getting 2 paychecks today, baby?
He's running up to the bench like, order. He runs back down. He's like, I would like to object. Hang on, runs back up. Hang on.
Abstained.
Sorry, that was aggressive.
That was aggressive.
Which is when you told me a part-time lawyer and a full-time judge or whatever it was backwards.
Yeah, it's backwards.
I'm surprised we've only been
different cases,
once.
different courtrooms.
I'm
different
sure it
stuff.
is. Yeah, there's like 10 courts.
Anyway,
it's fine.
Point being, we were talking about like prisons and the prison population in Alabama, but also in the country, and how like there's so many, there's overcapacity in prisons.
Way past it.
So
in every state,
and so many people are lobbying for like more prisons to build more prisons and stuff.
because we privatized.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother.
man.
But what I was talking with him, and he was like, what we need to do is you go through the prisons and the people that are there now, and you say, hey, look, this guy has been totally non-offensive. He's had non-violent. He's had no issues, and he's in here on a drug charge. Put an ankle bracelet on him and let him go not leave his house for 5 years.
I got to be honest with you. In my opinion, I don't know why anybody in the world, anywhere, this country or otherwise, gets locked up if they're nonviolent.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I can think of for a person to be locked up. And I get it. We live in a civilized society. You can't go around fucking other people up.
Yeah.
You want to start punching people in the face and knocking people around, killing people, raping people, attacking people. You're fucking other people's shit up. Those are the people you got to lock up. I'm not so naive to think we're never going to have to lock anybody up in this world.
Yeah.
But if you're nonviolent, whatever you did, this seems to me there has to be some kind of punishment that you could fit to a person without just putting them in a jail cell. We've privatized criminals, we've privatized healthcare, we've privatized education. I get that I'm a little bit on the liberal side of these things, but to me, when people are trying to make a profit, when people are trying to make a profit off someone being in jail, or they're trying to make a profit off someone having a heart attack, or they're trying to make a profit off someone learning how to add, I think things have gone awry.
Yeah.
This is so deep. We've gotten so deep.
We do.
20 minutes ago, I said, let's talk about titties, and no one agreed. I'm still on board with big titties, small titties, great titties.
What are your favorite? What are your favorite
Sharp
ones?
What are my favorite titties?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
My favorite titties are the ones that are in my hands. That's what I have learned.
Such a Mackey way to answer that question.
Well, look, I don't want to get specific. There's a beautiful woman that I love sitting in the room with us right now. I didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Well, oh my God, Emma McKinnis is here.
Hey, how about that?
There's another beautiful woman here that I do love her also, but just not the same kind of love, really.
Were your ears burning? We talked about you earlier. Just a little bit. It was great things.
Yeah.
If you hear the delightful voice of a tiny little forest sprite there in the background,
Forest sprite.
That is the delightful addition recently to Jacob Stiefle's existence that we discussed earlier. I don't know how long ago, to be honest with you.
Nobody really knows. Cardwell, what are you doing right now?
Just plug this phone in so big.
That's a whole process. It's under the table.
Yeah, that sounds. Look.
Might die,
How
Ben.
many times have I
Sorry,
heard
Ben.
that's a whole process? It's under the table.
Our sponsor Ben Ratliff is listening, and my phone might die.
Love
but
you,
We'll
buddy.
try
I don't
it.
know if you guys remember the movie. What is it? Devil's Advocate with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves, the lawyer and the devil. You remember this?
I never saw that.
I was pretty young when I saw it randomly. I don't know if it was on TV or somebody had the VHS or whatever. But they're hanging out at the table, and Al Pacino is gets kind of weird for a second. I was talking to Keanu Reeves, and then this chick pops up, and you find out Al Pacino's getting his dick sucked under the table while they were sitting there talking. And I was like, holy shit, I can't imagine a more badass thing to do ever in the history of the world. Like, if we're just sitting here talking, and then you find out I've been getting my dick sucked this whole time while we've been talking.
Oh my goodness.
All I'm saying is, look, if you're out there, Al Pacino.
If you're listening, Al.
If you're listening, my guess is that you're not, but I'm just proud of you for pulling that off, bud.
Matt Mackey, how long were you overseas? Back to loop that around.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about the rest of that. So I was in Dublin,
Ireland for how long?
I was in Dublin for a while, and I was not making as much money on the street as I was hoping to. So people were like, "Go to Galway." I never heard of Galway. They're like, it's on the West Coast. That's where all the hippies, the musicians, and the fuck-arounds are at. Yeah. And I was like, that sounds like
that's
my
where
people.
I need to be, yeah.
And at that point, I had like €80 left, and I spent 40 of it, and I got a bus ticket, and I just went across the other side of the country. And I got there, and I slept in the bus station, and I snuck into these hostels. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I got in. I slept in I had a bike chain, those like chains that you like chain your bike up with at a rack. Right. I had one of those, and so I would put it through my little the handle of my bag of clothes and the handle of my guitar case, and then around my leg, and I would chain it and lock it, and then I would sleep in the park just with all my stuff like wrapped around me and chained to my leg. I was like, they can't steal my shit if it's chained to me. Yeah, so that was very helpful.
That worked.
it did work, and I was sleeping in this park, and I walked into this pub where these dudes were playing, and they were cool. And so in Ireland, this is what was bizarre. This is like a decade ago now. Everyone smokes. Like, people smoke in their houses, in their living rooms, their bedrooms. Like, everyone smokes inside. Like, in the States, people smoke all the time, but nobody smokes in their house, right? You go to the bar, you smoke in your car with the windows down. Like, these motherfuckers smoked just laid in their bedroom, just windows up, just not giving a shit. But it was illegal to smoke in bars. You couldn't smoke in any pubs in Ireland. It was outlawed. So everywhere you went, because everyone fucking smoked, there's just all these shit tons of people standing outside of every pub just crushing cigs.
Yeah.
So I had seen these guys playing. They were great. And so I saw they took a break. They went outside. And I was like, I'll go outside because everybody has to go out there to smoke. And I was smoking a cigarette. And I was like, hey, man, you think maybe I could just get up while you guys are taking a break and play a few songs? And we've all played gigs. All of us have. We know that guy. He's like, hey, man, is it cool if I play some tunes while you guys take a break? You're like, no, dude, you're the worst.
Nobody
you're
likes
the worst. Nobody likes you. No one wants you around. Fuck off. But by some miracle, I guess they were just going to get high. And he was like, yeah, go ahead, man. I don't care. And so I just went up there and I just started just jamming out.
Yeah.
And so they disappeared to go get fucked up or whatever. And I'm like 2 or 3 songs deep. And he shows back up and he's like, he's digging it. So he comes up, he grabs his guitar and he sits in with me. And he's like, does another few songs with me, like playing lead guitar. He's nasty. I was like, oh, this is great. He was a little bitty fella. His name was Ray Hesse. I don't know how else to pronounce Hessessy. Hesse.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, he's a wee little fella. And
overshot that a little bit.
And he plays with me for a while, and then like I got to go sit down because the dude he's actually playing the gig with comes back and we're finished. But I'm like, this is the closest I've had to a friend since I got to this city. I'm gonna see how this plays out. Also, I only have €7 left, so who knows what's gonna happen.
So something's got to happen tonight.
So I hang out. I spend 6 of the €7 to get one more pint of booze because I figure, fuck it, I got to hang out here tonight and see how this plays out. So, like, people are kind of leaving, and the night is getting to the end, and he comes over, he's like, man, that was fucking great. It was class, man. I love the way you play. I want to play with you again. Where are you staying in town? And I was like, well, shit, man. Like, I'm staying right here in Air Square, right outside the bar, out here in this park, because it was right on the middle square of the town is where the bar was, and that was the park I'd been sleeping in. And I was like, right here, man, Air Square. That's where I'm sleeping. He's like, oh, sure, fuck it, bitch, Jesus, fuck that. He's like, come on, you stay on my couch for a few days. We get you fucking started, man. So he's like, I go to stay at his place for like 2 days, and 3 months later, I'm still staying at his place. I had a key. We kicked one of his roommates out together. It was no big deal.
Oh, man.
We just became like brothers. We played gigs all over Ireland together. It was fine. Like, he set up my whole life. He's like, sure, we'll get you a fucking phone. I had to get a little Irish cell phone. I had a life. But I had not done very much cocaine before I got to Ireland. And when I say very much, I mean none at all.
Yeah.
And all these motherfuckers were like, cocaine, it's the best. And I was like, well, that sounds
Makes
great.
all your bad feelings turn to good
feelings.
feelings.
And it did. It really, really did. And then I had this crazy, while I was living there, we got to this dude's house on like a Friday night. And he's like, guys, I got this acid. And it's the best acid I've ever had. And I never taken acid before. And I was like, sure, whatever, cool, best acid you've ever had. What does that mean to me? Nothing. It was a Friday night. It was late. He's like, it's left over my friend's wedding. It's like me and 3 other dudes. 4 dudes hanging out in the house all by ourselves on a Friday night. He's like, let's eat this acid. I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. So we do. That lasted until Monday. 100%. He had all this grass, so we smoked all this weed, and the walls are moving, and shit was crazy. And then it's Monday, and I have a gig, and I'm like, wait, I thought it was Friday. I'm like, no, my phone is blowing up. Like, it's Monday, man. You got to play tonight. Are you gonna show? We haven't seen you in 2 days. I was like, I don't know. I've been at this guy's house, man.
Oh my God.
So these girls show up, they pick me up in the car, and they're like, you gotta come play. And I started calling these people, and I was like, man, I need some fucking cocaine. I'm gonna lose my mind. I gotta get some fucking Charlie. And I was like, oh no, I can't even play music anymore without cocaine. I think I fucked up.
Well, so I took a wrong turn.
I was like, Ray, I gotta leave, man. I gotta get out of here. So we met this dude named Hawaiian Dave, because his name was Dave and he's from Hawaii. So
naturally,
yeah, it was pretty complicated.
Really
and
used
he
your
lived with
brain
his
cells
sister
there.
in Paris. He's like, man, if shit ever gets fucked in Ireland, you come stay with me in Paris. And so I emailed him. I was like, look, Hawaiian Dave, I think I'm a little too coked out over here in Ireland. I think shit is not going the way that I want it to go in Ireland. I got to get out of here, man. And he's like, dude, I'm still staying with my sister in Paris. Just come crash with me. And I was like, Ray, I'm leaving tomorrow. And I fucking bounced out of Ireland just like that.
Did you go to Paris?
Well, I took this girl Murren with me over to Paris. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we'll leave it right there. That's We'll leave that to be continued.
Yeah. Okay, so that's and so Paris from there to be continued for
A lesson well learned.
I could tell you a lot of stories about Paris also.
In that story, you learned that, hey, Nashville bums, if you're listening, to chain your stuff to yourself if you're sleeping. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to not do cocaine in Ireland.
No, that's not what I said. Just don't do too much cocaine in Ireland. I would never say don't do cocaine in Ireland. They're very good at it there.
Yeah. What kind of do they get good cocaine in Ireland?
You know, honestly, it was the first cocaine I ever had, so I have no idea if it was good or not. They were like, "Have we got any fucking cocaine queers in the kitchen there?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm a cocaine queer right here. Give me the cocaine."
Oh my God.
It got a little loose. I was doing it off pool tables and shit. It got, we stayed with this guy named Odie. It's fine. We stayed with a guy who tried to murder me.
What?
Look, he owned this bed and breakfast with a bar. It was a bar with like a bed and breakfast above it. And I went up there to smoke weed one night, and it turns out he had all these guests in town, like families and shit, staying in all the rooms around me. And I'm just laying on my back in the hallway of his hotel, just smoking weed, not giving any shits about it at all. So anyway, the families complained. They got very mad. And Ray, the guy who let me stay on his couch for months at a time, was like, Did you fucking smoke grass at the King's Head last night? And I was like, yeah. Upstairs. Yeah, man. With the fucking kids staying there everywhere. Yeah, man.
With the what? The kids?
With the kids, yeah. And he's like, oh, man, he's going to fucking kill you. So I had to go 6 weeks without going back to that bar. The guy that owned that bar, who was raised like weird godfather. Anyway, he was a scary son of a bitch. And Ray was like, look, I got to fucking tell you, man. He'll fucking kill you and he'll put you in a field and never think about you again. I was like, I'm not going back there at all.
Wow.
Yeah, he was not happy with me. It's fine.
Man.
How long were you... So you went over there and went to Paris, whatever, we won't get into that.
It was like, he said April to like
I
October.
can tell you about
October,
it.
like
In
you
Paris, I got busted by the cops next to the Eiffel Tower. They took my weed. These sons of bitches. Look.
I wasn't even going to get into it, but okay.
Look, I had this girl Murren with me that Ray was actually fucking. I wasn't even fucking her, but I thought I'll take her to Paris. I'll give it a run. I'll roll the dice. But then it was weird. I was like, Ray was just inside you 3 days ago. I can't really.
First of all,
we a little Irish pecker. Like, I just didn't want to.
You said it was Ray's like godfather that you pissed off, and then it was Ray's girl you took to Paris. Well, Ray let you stay on his couch for like months, and you just totally shit all over Ray. Like,
no, man, no, we helped each other. Don't worry.
No, that's not helping Ray at all. You just shit all over Ray.
Yeah, all right. Well, I didn't mean to.
When you came back to. Had you just had enough over there and you were like, all right, I got to go back to
America? I was young and I got weirded out.
up.
I was taking so many drugs all the time just to play music, just to live. And I was young enough to not know what that was like. And it scared the shit out of me. I was like, is this it? Is this my whole life? I can never do anything without taking shit tons of drugs ever again. I was terrifying.
So you came back and recorded Christian albums?
Yeah, I did. I came back. Well, I was past Christian albums by then. The Christian phase was pretty well behind me. Though I did go back to church when I came back. Yeah. And sometimes when I would get real fucked up when I was over there, I would find a church, just lay down in like a pew and just stare at the Catholic ceilings and shit.
Yeah.
I knew Jesus wasn't there, but it just made me feel better. Yeah, it was intense, man. I remember just like wandering around the streets of Paris, yelling at any lit up window with this dude I met, this German, and we would just yell up at any lit up window 4 a.m. Have you got any fucking drugs? Have you got any drugs up there? And every now and then people would shout down. One time, very specifically, I remember they were like, sure shit, yeah, have you got any fucking drugs down there? And we were like, yeah. So we walked up 5 flights of stairs, these people's fucking flat, and they had a bunch of drugs and we had a little bit of drugs.
Bought your way into the.
Yeah, that was it.
Somehow left with a lot of drugs.
Here's what I've learned: people are so excited with musicians that want to party just show up.
Yeah.
You guys all know exactly what I'm
That's
talking
a fact.
about. Anywhere you go in the world, people are like, they're just into it. When I was in London, look, so this is a girl that I dated. She's actually married to my like very dear friend now, but I dated her before he did. To be fair, while she and I were dating, they clearly vibed much more than she and I vibed. Like, she would come over to hang out with me. He was my roommate then, and like I'd see them sitting on the couch talking, and I'm like, seems like that works a lot better than what she and I are doing. But we had dated, and then we split up, and then I decided she told me she was going to go to London for the summer, and I was like, who gives a fuck? I'm not going to talk to you anymore. But then I bought a ticket to Ireland, and I was like, it'd be cool if I had somewhere to stay over in London while I was in Ireland. So I called her up, and I was like, hey, I really missed you. So I sparked it back up. Look, and so I had a free place to stay in London. It was delightful. Yeah. I think she came back with me to Ireland for a few days. We had to climb this wall to get into this hostel. Look, it doesn't matter, man. A lot of shit went down. We climbed a lot of things.
Man, the story I heard was you went to Ireland, got all crazy on the cocaine, and came back. All this stuff now that I'm just now hearing. You didn't tell me this when I first met you.
I don't want to tell you about finger fucking a stranger by the Seine River in downtown Paris.
He's saving it for his Matt Mackey book.
Yeah,
I'm
the
glad.
memoir.
It's years later, and he's still surprising me. It's 5 years later, people.
Let me tell you what I learned about French women. Oh, do you have something, Stiefel?
No. I can't stop you from saying something about French women.
Look, man, I was in a bar. Actually, so I lived in Galway, and then I went to Paris, but I went to this bar in Paris called the Galway. It was an Irish pub. I was like, that's great. I spent a lot of time here. I could probably talk people up. And I was with Hawaiian Dave, and he brought all these Latino chicks. And when I say Latino chicks, because I don't know how else to describe it, there was a chick from Mexico, there was a chick from Spain, and a chick from like Argentina, I think.
Yeah.
And they were all good looking. So I was like, I got to see how this plays out. Meanwhile, while we get there, I look over and these two French chicks have walked in. And they sit down at this table. And the one, man, she's got the fucking look about her. I'm like, I feel like...
The sex eyes that we were talking about earlier.
She reaches into her purse, man, at the bar, and she pulls out a pack of cigarettes. She sets them on the table in front of her. And I was like, all right, it's my kind of lady. And she doesn't miss a fucking beat, brother. She reaches back into her purse. She pulls out a second pack of cigarettes and puts them right there on the table next to the first one. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is my soulmate. I have to talk to her, no question. So I won't give you the whole night, but over the course of that night, I ended up a little bit making out with all three, the Mexican chick and the Spanish chick and the Argentinian chick. And 2 out of the 3 times, that French chick, who I was in love with the moment she walked in, saw me. Saw me around one corner here and saw me in the street out there. Just like looked right at me like, are you fucking serious? I thought we had a thing. You're making out with this bitch right now? Those eyes. And I was like, oh no.
So what you learned about French chicks was?
What I learned was later as that night progressed and Hawaiian Dave left and all the different chicks from all the different Spanish-speaking countries left and the French-speaking chick from Paris who was there when I got there still took me home after watching me make out with 2 different chicks in the bar that night. She's like, you want to get to cafe? I was like, oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Oh, man.
And why have I not been in this country my whole life? That was all I was thinking.
I believe every bit of this.
Yeah.
Oh, it changed my life.
great.
I was like, is this real? Is this possible? I didn't know that you could do this.
Speaking of nothing to do with this,
Yeah, right.
didn't y'all record a live Matt Mackey album recently?
We did.
Look, so I'm in the process of putting some funding together to finish post-production.
I haven't
on this
heard
album.
any of it yet, and I'm a little upset.
I have it. So look, here, we'll do a little pause right now, and later you can, in post-production, you can add in a track of Matt Mackey's that I'm going to send to you right now.
It's it's definitely the best version of Straight from the Bottle you've ever had.
Right now.
Now. Dude,
All right,
he's
I
gonna
hope you
edit.
enjoyed Straight from the Bottle right there. That was a nice edit point that we just put in.
We don't have to put the pause. He's gonna put the pause in the post production.
No, man, paws are on kittens.
It's all live right now.
Puppies.
Pause
Wow.
are on kitchen.
This is going about how I thought it was going to go. It's pretty. It's
Honestly, we got a lot deeper than I ever thought we would get tonight.
Yeah.
I'm glad I brought us back around to titties. That made me feel.
When I told Johnny what we were doing, I was like, man, me and Mackie and I are going to go hang out with Stiefel and just, talk and kind of have a little drink, whatever. Johnny looked at me like this. He went, like,
Cardwell's
you
making
guys,
a face.
You guys, seriously. And he literally, in the words were, don't fuck me.
Do you guys want to hand me a beer while we're...
Can we get a...
Oh my God.
Beer?
Abby Crossett, queen of the world.
I would say Matt Mackey get a beer.
I was just asking the gentleman here to hand me one because they're close to the cooler. But as I spoke the words, Abby appeared in the room like an angel.
Here we go again.
Yes, like an angel. I use the words angel and queen because I feel like that's what she is.
Angel.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. All right, what else do you guys want to talk about? Do you guys want to talk about different sex positions or politics, or what are your thoughts?
Man, no politics.
Yeah, wheelbarrows. What?
No politics. Back to sex positions. Then.
Jacob, what's going on with you, man?
I kind of have to pee right now.
You got to pee?
Is that what you're wanting? No, that's not what you're
No,
wanting.
I was just kind of. How's
Do
the
you want to
music
take
going?
a break to smoke and pee and fuck around?
No.
Me neither. No. I already peed in this can twice since we sat down.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm good.
It's a huge can. Don't worry about it. I have a giant cock, everybody. It's cool.
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
It's not full of urine. I mean, not anymore.
Yeah, man, dude, if you need to pee, we can totally carry this thing.
Now we'll be we'll probably
right.
wind it down here before too long.
Wind it down. We're just getting started.
Yeah, but it's
right.
We're trailing off.
I wish the people that were listening to this could
we're branching
see,
out.
like here in Stiefel spot, there's so many guitars on the wall. This son of a bitch is just like the quintessential guitar lover and player. It makes me so happy to see them all hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
I tell you what we'll actually do. Is there anything, Cardwell? Did you want to talk about anything in particular? Did you want to bring up anything?
No, what?
I know you had. All
Why are you
kinds of
singling
stories.
me out? Why are you singling me out? Like, I'm
Beaming in on you.
here. What the fuck? What's happening? I don't
One
understand.
time, Mark Cardwell,
At band camp.
drummer extraordinaire over here. One time he got so mad at his now ex-girlfriend
Oh my God. Oh,
that
please.
he bashed his cell phone, his iPhone, on his drum during one of my shows.
Yeah, we broke up the next day. Seriously,
It seems like the right time to do that.
I think you and I broke up that night.
Yeah, we didn't play together for
I
a
don't
while.
think I
after
hired
that.
you for a while.
Well, I got so drunk. I remember I got so drunk that I took my drums, I packed them up, I put them out on the fucking street in Kentucky, and then like by the van, I just went and sleep. I didn't load anything, I didn't do shit.
Yeah, he said his shit. But we were still inside, hanging out, having a drink,
Didn't do
whatever.
nothing.
He packed his stuff up, set it by the trailer, and passed out in the back.
I pulled a slim. Right.
I was about to say, that's not the first time I've seen Cardwell pull that move. I pulled that move myself.
That's a classic. That's a good move
That's
if
a
you're fucked
classic.
up. What had also happened was I didn't know they were pouring us doubles. We also had a new bass player that week, and he hates me because, yeah. It was a crazy weekend.
It sounds very traumatic for
It was
you,
a fun
man.
weekend. But yeah, this bar in Lexington, which is, shockingly is no longer open.
The Toasted Barrel, right?
Yeah, Polly's Toasted Barrel. I think they had to close down for legal
Because that
reasons.
sounds like your booze is on fire. What kind of name is Toasted Barrel?
We like at one point. This might have been before Mark played with me. But we were playing there, and they were pouring us. Like it was one of those places where they say you have like $100 band tab,
But they give no
but
fucks.
then they don't
just
even
keep
keep
giving
track.
you
Yeah,
booze, yeah.
So
Those are the best places, by the way.
Yeah,
We only play those
You boys
games.
want to keep drinking? Keep drinking.
but so it was getting towards the end of the night, and they kept bringing us like the last set. They were between every song, they were bringing us double shots for
Yeah.
everybody in the band. And this was, and even before Mark came along, I remember playing there one night, and I had to tell them to stop bringing shots to the stage because
And that
we
right
still-
there, folks, is the difference between when I lead a band and when Jacob Stiefel leads a band.
Yeah,
Well, there was still like a half an hour left, and they were bringing multiple double shots to the stage. I'm like, look, like hold off at least every other song or something.
yeah.
you know?
I remember on the way up there, you're like, man, be careful. These people will serve you until you're just done. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then
Like, thanks, Mom.
So then
Yeah.
he didn't listen to me.
no, and then the texting was going terrible. I broke my phone. I did a lot of shit that weekend. It was crazy. I also got laid like the very next day. Shocker.
By her.
Shocker.
No,
Oh, okay.
I went fucking.
I broke up with that. I broke up with her ass, and I fucked the shit out of her when I got back to Nashville. No big deal.
Nope.
I'm sure nobody's ever told that story around town. That's never happened by anybody.
Oh
I was
my
in
God.
Tulsa and I broke up with her on a Thursday night, and by the time I got back on Sunday, I fucked the shit out of her. And God damn it, she's loving my life by Wednesday.
No, negative.
Negative.
Was that the trip that that the dashboard lights went out on the van and you had to like?
No, that
set
was
your phone
that was
up?
the trip that we took to Wisconsin with Fred and Coach and Red Pants
Oh,
that we were
dear.
talking about earlier.
Oh dear,
Old Jacob
red pants. Oof.
Jacob made us stay at a place. He was, oh man, we got a place to stay, and then we get there, and he's like, oh, by the way, it's just enough room for me and my lady friend. You guys got to stay in the van.
Steve, look, you gotta look out for yourself and your lady friend, man.
We're driving home, and it's like the lights go out, and I'm like, oh man, the lights are out. And he's like, that's cool. And I was like, the dash lights are out, like everything's out. The only thing that's working are the front lights and the emergency lights on the trailer. So we got the and I'm pissed off because I'm like, I want to get fucking high because I'm driving through the night, and that's what keeps me awake, and I can't do that now. But somebody's got to drive. I had my phone, my cell phone had the flashlight on so I could see the speedometer, and we were driving with a hat, like the flashing lights on, just for like 7 hours.
I was in that mode. It was like after the show, and I was in that mode of I'm drunk and don't really care.
You were asleep.
Yeah, I was asleep.
You're like, just keep
I don't
going.
really-
I was
yeah.
like, no, and you're like, just keep going, dude. I
I'll
don't
take
care.
over in a little bit. It'll be all right.
Which, by the way, when you ride with Stiefel and you're touring his band, like when he drives, let him drive. But once he goes to sleep, you're gonna have to pass it off to somebody else. He's not getting he's gonna need a couple rotations to get up unless it's gig time.
Yeah.
Look, I'll throw a little.
If everybody else gets sleepy, then we'll just stop.
Yeah,
I'll put some kudos right out here. I played in more than one project with Mark Cardwell, and this sumbitch will drive anything for any amount of hours through the night, through the day.
Yeah, Cardwell's a trooper.
He's a true machine when it comes to driving the rig, whatever the rig is.
Yeah.
He'll do it.
I remember.
Fact.
I remember one of my first trips, like that first
Drugs
time we
or
went to
no
Texas with Kevin and Jack. We went to Texas, and like on our way down, we played in Memphis, and then we went to Louisiana. And I remember being asleep, and I was like, I kept waking up, and we were at a Love's, and every time I woke up, I was like, man, we've been at this Love's for fucking ever. And what had happened is Jacob is stopping at every Love's that we find, because he doesn't know me and Kevin, and Jack is fucking passed out, and he's like, I'm tired, so every time he needs to stop, he just stops, and because he doesn't want to wake us up, and we're just stopping every 45 minutes. I'm like, man, it took us like 3 days to get to Louisiana.
I would rather stop every
Right.
45 minutes to an hour and instead of fall asleep on the highway.
Well, because I remember walking in one of them, and like Jacob's like walking around, like he's like looking at shit, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, just walking around getting awake." And I was like, "Do you need help driving?" He goes, "You want to drive?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I just fucking started driving. I was like, yeah. He was just walking around, like looking at hats, looking at shit, like trying on stuff. I was like, "Oh," he's like, "I'm just trying
What
to
you got
wake
over
up,
there,
man."
Matt Mackey?
Look, I've been drinking, and I decided to pick up your notes and see what was going on here and see what you were looking at. I'm looking at the things we haven't gotten to on your notes.
There's
yet.
only a couple of them.
Here's one of my favorites that you have here at the end. There's so little that you really have to do.
Yes, that's one of my favorite Matt Mackey quotes. One of my favorite Mackey quotes of all time.
So little in life.
Look,
waiting on
man,
that.
because people get bogged down with their fucking jobs and their kids and their responsibilities and their charities and this and their that. And like, I have to do this, I have to do that. And it's all bullshit. Like, get overwhelmed if you need to or whatever you got to feel like to do your responsibilities. But the reality is you don't fucking have to. There's so little, like almost nothing. Like, there's so little in life that you really have to do. All the shit that you're bitching about is really shit that you're choosing to do.
Yeah. Taxes and dying.
I'm saying just don't pay taxes if you don't want.
So if you
Don't go to work if you don't want. Like, there's so little you have to do really in this life. All the things that people are like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to go pick up this person, I have to go to this place.
I do have a section.
They don't have to. They don't have to.
Right.
They could just not and see what happens. I
true.
believe that's how good living is accomplished.
Well,
I do have a section of notes in my phone of things that Matt Mackey has said to me while we were wasted that he has no idea that he said to me. If you would like me to get my phone, I will read some of them to you. They're pretty good.
I would like to know what they are because I would like to
I've
know.
told
that
you
could be a good
they're
ending.
great.
That could be a good
Can I-
ending,
can I
but I
get
feel
my
like we're
phone?
winding.
That's a great
winding
finale
down.
because honestly I'm very curious now.
Some of these things, like some of them happen, like
said.
just,
ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna wind down with.
We hope that these are not overly graphic.
they're They're not graphic at all, I don't think.
Also, come out and see us at the Barnum and Bailey's Revive
If you've
Circus.
made it this long, kudos to you. Do you know where you guys are going to be coming up with Johnny Hayes and the Loveseats?
We got the album release in Mobile next weekend.
The 6th,
2 weeks from
October
now.
6th.
October 6th.
Next time we're in Nashville is October 28th for the Sutler. I think it's their
It's a
Halloween,
Halloween
yeah.
show, yeah.
Awesome.
Halloween show.
It's going to get loose.
I think I'm
Yep.
off that night. I might come
Also,
hang out.
top
on out,
secret
you'll play some
information.
guitar.
We're talking about a November date with Johnny and the Loveseats in Nashville, and we're talking about a particular opening band that might be Jacob Stiefel.
Yeah.
I'm just saying shit might get
To be
sexy.
announced. To be announced.
TBA.
All right,
So-
let's hear these quotes. Let's hear these
So-
Matt Mackey quotes.
There's
I'm feeling very leery right now about
There
what's
was-
about to be read.
There's this girl one time I walked in on, Mackie was hanging out in Midtown. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm in Midtown. Come hang out." So I get there and there's a girl there, and then like she leaves. And I was like, "Man, what's up?" And he's like, "Man, we try to write songs, but we just end up touching each other's no parts."
Yeah.
Look, sometimes these are
Okay.
these are the tough realities on the ground.
Believe it. Go ahead. All right,
there was
next.
there's another time where like I was asking him if he was gonna hang out, and Mackie literally just said, "Man, I can hang when there's cocaine."
That
Yeah.
is true at any time of the day or night.
Yeah.
That's how people stay
That's a
awake.
valid
We've known
statement.
that for several decades now. It's not revelatory, in my opinion.
So this one time we were in, and both of these next quotes happened in the same conversation, and these aren't bad. These are actually really good song titles, I think. But Mackie, he just looked at I don't know how he said it, but he was like, "You're a soft shoe, but you have a hard soul." I was like, oh, okay,
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? Good
But
for me.
in that same conversation, he was super drunk, and we were talking, and he was just rambling like he's been doing for the last 2 hours. And then he stops, and he looks at me, and he goes, "You know, it rains a lot in Seattle." And then he just went back to what he was talking about, and I was like, "What?" He's like, "It just rains a lot in Seattle." And then
Sometimes people need facts, man.
that's it. No recollection of doing that.
Did y'all know that a polar bear's skin is black?
I did not know that,
Some
but that's good to know. You know what I would
fact
like?
of the day.
Here's what I would like to close with. If this can be the last statement of the night, I want to hear your is it a squirrel or a pigeon or whatever the joke is. that you
Oh, the
tell.
pigeon joke? The pigeon's
So
a
look,
good one.
let
All
me
right.
level with people. Jacob's about to tell this joke. And he told this joke to me, and I laughed so fucking hard. I have ripped this joke off and
Can
told
we
it.
tell the origin of the joke?
I don't know. I don't even know the origin of the joke.
All right. Well, this came from the man, the myth, the legend, Jerry Phillips.
We were eating 30.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were down in Muscle Shoals. We were eating $35 steaks.
Yeah.
Like this,
So we were.
Jerry Phillips is a big fucking deal, in
That's
case
how-
anybody's
oh, yeah.
wondering.
Oh yeah. So okay, we were riding the bus to go eat, and he said, "Boys, did y'all know that a pigeon dies when it has sex?" We all looked at each other. We're like, "No, really? No, sir, we didn't know that." And he said, "Well, the one I fucked did."
that's just funny every time.
Oh man.
Call it. Just
That's
edit
it.
it out right there. That's
Yeah,
the end.
that's
I don't
it.
want anything past that.
Well, if you made it all the way to here, then kudos to you. But that was a great and a fun night. If I or any of us pissed you off at some point, that I promise you that wasn't our goal. And actually, you should probably do some meditation or something if podcasts are affecting you that much. But regardless of all that, you should all go check out the new Johnny Hayes and the Loveseats self-titled album that is out right now. Brand new this week. Hot off the presses, or iTunes, or wherever you listen to music now. I don't know. I lose track. But you should, Johnny Hayes and the Loveseats, check them out. Go see them when you get a chance. JohnnyandtheLoveseats.com. Check out the links to that and more info all over at don'tstifleme.com/031. Once again, I would like to invite you lovingly over to patreon.com/DSM podcast for exclusive behind-the-scenes access to pictures, videos, MP3 downloads, and many more opportunities that you won't get anywhere else in the world. Nowhere else. For this podcast, behind-the-scenes stuff, you won't get it anywhere except for patreon.com/DSM podcast for as little as $1 a month. And you get behind-the-scenes access, but you put your support toward keeping this podcast moving forward, keeping these conversations coming out, allowing me to do all the things production-wise, spend the time to make sure they sound good for you to listen to. So it's much appreciated by me, but also by everyone else who listens to these talks. You Amazon shoppers out there, yeah, you, right? You're listening to me right now. When you're going to go order your light bulbs or your whatever I don't know why I thought of light bulbs, but whatever you order on Amazon, I ordered some ink for the printer the other day. So whatever you're going to get on Amazon.com, your yoga mats or your whatever, you should go to don'tstifleme.com or jacobstiefel.com. Click the big banner that says click here to shop on Amazon.com, and that'll take you to the Amazon page. But it doesn't change the price for you at all. Same prices, but it lets them know I sent you, so they send a small commission my way to help support the podcast here. People helping people. Come on, you gotta love it. And that's that for episode 31. Now this one was a little different than usual. It's not going to be a super regular thing, but I thought it would be good and fun. And I like some unfiltered, abrasive conversations from time to time. I think they're good for all of us. Check out the podcast social medias at DSM Podcast. All mine are at Jacob Stiefel. Come on, let's make the world a better place. How about it? Thanks so much for listening. I love you all. I say that, and I hope you know I mean it. You mean more to me than you could ever know, just for listening and being a part of my life. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you again real soon.
They say all women want an outlaw, someone to hang their hat on, and all stops in between. But if you wanna please her, then you got a reason to treat her like a queen. I might not be the best of the rest yet, but if I only get this one request, let me be your Robin Hood. With my arrows by my side, I will fill our pocketbook with sleight of hand and twist of thigh. If my fingers fail to grip, would you love me? I'll say, even with my busted lip, I'll be your Robin Hood today. When that lawman comes a knocking, when it stops the house from rocking, child, you know I got a plan. You can follow me right on out the back door. We're gonna take the Mexico road, and the sun will be our welcome mat. I might not be the best of the rest yet, but if I only get this one request, let me be your Robin Hood. With my arrows by my side, I will fill our pocketbook with sleight of hand and twist of thigh. If my fingers fail to grip, would you love me? I'll say, even with my busted lip, I'll be your Robin Hood today. If this love is more than we can make, I promise I'll take your mistakes, and I know you'll take mine too. Right here in this dirty car, with no one caring where we are, has always been my favorite thing about you. I might not be the best of the rest yet, if I only get this one request. Oh, let me be your Robin Hood. With my arrows by my side, I will fill our pocketbook with sleight of hand and twist of thigh. If my fingers fail to grip, would you love me all same? Even with my busted lip, I'll be on Robin Hood today. And if you kiss me on the lips, I'll be on Robin Hood to stay. Yeah.